and there are multiple instances of people, taking over and performing as the legacy they have inherited. So it is only time that will tell us whether the vacuum will be filled or what will happen in future. But right now, to be very honest, there's a huge void, a vacuum in Maharashtra's politics. And today, the way Maharashtra's politicians have behaved, it sends out a message to entire country and especially to all those leaders who want to make insensitive remarks during such a time when the state is mourning, when the family is mourning, and sending out such messages. The way leaders in Maharashtra, the way politicians in Maharashtra, the way voters and the way people of Maharashtra have behaved, it sends out a signal to every politician sitting out there outside Maharashtra who want to create a controversy that in time of grief, you need not play unnecessary politics and do not end up hurting the sentiments and do not end up teasing the people who are hurt right now and are grieving.
Absolutely. Now, Mr. Amitabh Tiwari, let me come to you on that as well. When we talk about the legacy of Mr. Ajit Pawar, what would you have to say about that?
Legacy of Ajit Pawar, I think we should keep in mind the fact that the development of Baramati, earlier by Sharad Pawar and then later by Ajit Pawar, it shows how if a local representative, MLA, MP of a particular region is serious about the development of the core constituency, then what all can be done to develop that particular Vidhan Sabha or Lok Sabha to the for the benefit of the people. So I think Baramati today is a model constituency for all other MPs and MLAs to take lessons from. That if you have the intent, you can do wonders. And as Varun Bhai mentioned, I think, or somebody mentioned about the water, that Baramati would still get water even if there is issues somewhere else. Now, he was an administrator, being a deputy chief minister and a finance minister most of the times when he was deputy CM. Uh, Also, I think we have to see that he was very blunt in making statements and pushing back files or schemes which were detrimental to the state's economy. So, we've seen many times how he has been very vocal about those elements in the public. So, a strong administrator, a survivor in politics, having meandered through many parties, the Congress, the NCP, and now with the BJP. He shows how grit and determination can do wonders in politics for the development of the people.
Absolutely. Ms. Shah, let me just come to you on that as well. While there have been appeals, of course, to not politicize this issue, and that's something that we're making a concerted effort to not talk about. When we talk about the political flux going forward, one would really hope that perhaps parties would exercise some sort of restraint or at least wait and recalibrate their responses till after.
Yes, you are absolutely right. You see, looking at the political backlash and the theory of political conspiracy, Sri Sharad Pawar himself at 85, the senior most leader of the NCP, the much respected, the doyen of politics in Maharashtra, came out, made a media statement that please, there is no conspiracy in this. It was a fatal accident. It was a tragic accident, and please, the at the moment the opposition is weaponizing a tragedy. It should stop. Today we are mourning. We have to stand today with the Pawar family, the entire NCP family. Imagine, while talking to you, I feel so sad. I mean, I have no words. So you can imagine what the family must be going through. So therefore, please let us stand together as one for this great man, the statesman, the true Maratha leader of Maharashtra, son of the soil, a man having a grip on administration, Lokaneta, Jananeta, and stand for him. Stand that we care, we are for you, we are with the family. Of course, the investigation will be done. There is already an investigation ordered immediately by the Chief Minister. It is on the way. I think the team has already visited the site, and we will go and investigate matter thoroughly in a transparent manner, and we will also make it public. I have no doubt about it. But today, let us respect Ajit Dada. Let us stand together for the family. That is the only thing I would like to say. And Maharashtra will always remember Ajit Dada as a great statesman, as a tall leader that he was.
Absolutely, Mr. Singh. Let me just come to you, of course, at a time when the family is also urging not to politicize this issue, and there is no, of course, conspiracy here. We also have Yasha with us, who's been bringing us all the updates on this. Yasha, let me come to you on that. What can you tell us right now?
बारामतीकरांना की आपण प्लीज सहकार्य करायचे आहे.
there is the entire family also, like from Sharad Pawar, Supriya Sule, Condolence Sule. Some of the close family members have already reached Uttar Pradesh.
All right, we seem to have an issue with that line. We'll try and get Yasha back online with us. Mr. Singh, let me just come to you. Of course, when we are talking about the investigations that are going to be further carried out into the cause of this crash as well, that is something that remains under the scanner very much still. The immediate impact of the administrative plan to ensure continuity of key portfolios, decision making, these are some of the things that also remain in focus.
No, to be very honest, the administration, I don't see any problem because once any seat is vacated, the ministry automatically is handled by the chief minister for time being till the time a new minister is allotted to that particular portfolio. So right now, to be very honest, with Devendra Fadnavis at the helm of the affairs and Eknath Shinde also handling most of the departments, important departments, and with the session coming to, will be working soon in Maharashtra. I don't see any administrative issue that would raise up. Is officially allotted to someone. We may see that certain decisions may not come out, but I don't think it will hamper a lot because the chief minister is there. He will handle that portfolio and important decisions that are needed because finance department is a very important department. Every ministry in the government has to reach the finance department before they float out a tender, before they give out work, because it is the finance department that will be releasing the amount of money that has to be spent for that work. So absolutely, I don't think any government would want work to be hampered. And as of now, what I know is that decision has been taken that till the time a new minister is not allotted for that particular portfolio, as the protocol says, the chief minister shall be taking care of the department. So administration wouldn't be hampered. Talking about his party future, I don't see any issue in the party future also because there are multiple leaders. The party itself has many ex-deputy CMs right now and national leaders. And being a regional party, we always see that, people from the family are someone who lead the party. And I expect that if in future time comes, there would be someone from the Ajit Pawar's family who would lead the party and other leaders in NCP. You have to understand the DNA of NCP, why administration and the NDA are not in any danger, because most of the leaders in NCP are those who always and want to remain glued to power. So they wouldn't make any hasty decisions and they shall remain in
Right.
power. They shall remain in Mahayuti and things will continue as it was a day ago.
Right. I believe we have Yasha back with us. Yasha, I hope you can hear me now. What can you tell us, Yasha?
पवार कुटुंबीय आणि आपश्रेष्ठ
So yes, right here at Vidya Pratishthan, we see that most of the family members, close family members, Sharad Pawar, Supriya Sule, Sadanand Sule, they've come already to take a stock of the situation, to check the preparations that are underway. Apart from that, several top ministers, the MP Sunil Tatkare, Sana Malik, Chaman Bhujbal, Nawab Malik. We also see Rahul Narvekar, who's reached here. He's from the BJP. Clearly, all of these leaders, some of the top leaders, they've already gathered here. Preparations are already underway. You also see.
Yasha, could just, there is some disturbance there also. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, Yasha, please continue.
स्टेजवरती डाव्या हाताला अजून पण काही बारामतीकर
So right here, in fact, while we see Sharad Pawar closely sitting in the shed, monitoring what is happening, but on the other hand, you see Supriya Sule taking charge of the situation at this point, kind of stepping into the shoes of Ajit Pawar. Clearly, was monitoring the party, but on the other hand, Ajit Pawar would do all the legwork here.
सर्व
Similarly, when it
मंडळी या
comes
ठिकाणी
to
उपस्थित आहेत
this very situation where we see that NCP has lost its tall
आणि
leader, Supriya Sule is
आपल्या
right now taking
सर्वांच्या
charge of that
उपस्थितीमध्ये
situation.
आपल्या
And
लाडक्या
ensuring that
दादाला
people
अखेरचा निरोप
have
देण्यासाठी
people are here present at the
आपण
right
सगळे
spot.
या ठिकाणी
You
उपस्थित
see a
आहात.
special shed that has been
आपल्याला ज्या
made for
सूचना
all the
या
ministers,
ठिकाणी मिळत आहेत त्याचं
the
आपण पालन
MLAs,
करावं
the tall
अशी
leaders
सबंध
from various parties
महाराष्ट्रामधून
across party
आलेल्या
lines who have made their
दादा
way to
प्रेमींना
Baramati.
माझी नम्र
What we also
विनंती
hear
आहे.
of is MK Stalin has already reached Baramati. He'll be here at Vidya Pratishthan in a while from now. We also expect the Chief Minister, Devendra Fadnavis, Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, to be arriving along with Home Minister Amit Shah
सर्व
to
मंत्री
pay their last tributes.
महोदयांचे
So far, the mortal
स्वीय
remains of
सहाय्यक
Ajit Dada Pawar have
आणि
left
त्यांची
from
बॉडीगार्ड
Kathewari, which was
त्याच्या
his
मागच्या बाजूला
residence.
आपण थांबायचे
It is
आहे
approximately,
अशी माझी
say,
नम्र विनंती आहे.
20 to 25 minutes away from this very location. But the fact that there'll be a huge procession that will be underway right from Kathewari to Baramati is where we expect the procession the last funeral
Right.
procession to reach here, say in an hour and a half from now, and then is where the last rites would take place at Vidya Pratishthan, because
Right.
the stage has already been set. The preparations are underway. You also see several priests who've gathered here to perform the last rites, and so far close family members. In fact, when you speak of the first family of Ajit Pawar, they'd be expected to come along with the funeral procession of
माझी पुन्हा
Ajit
पुन्हा
Pawar.
विनंती
But
आहे
on the other hand, Sharad
All
Pawar's
right.
first family
All right. We also
remains
have
down.
Mayuresh with us, who's also been bringing us all the ground updates. Mayuresh, let me just come to you as well. Yash has pretty much summed up what's going on ground right now. What can you tell us, Mayuresh?
Absolutely. We are with the calculation. And before that, there was a small halt will happen where Ajit Pawar's mortal remains will be kept at one of the auditoriums, and from there, the last journey of Ajit Pawar will start. That's what they have said. I can see, if I describe the visuals, I can see only people around me on both the sides of the road. Ajit Pawar's followers, Ajit Pawar's party workers. All of them are here on the road with in the bike, in the car, and all of them are following the cavalcade and just want to be with Ajit Pawar during his last journey in his hometown, which is Baramati. As I continuously saying, and why I'm saying that it is a very unfortunate, because the person who developed this city, the person who developed this district, the person who brought all the development along with Sharad Pawar to this particular district, today unfortunately passed away, and people are really in shock. I can see a lot of more than 300 bikers are in front of me. They're following Ajit Pawar's mortal remain, which the truck is carrying, and all of them are very much emotional, because still they cannot believe that this has happened with Ajit Pawar. He was a very fit person. He was following a very strict regime, very strict schedule he was having. Every day he used to get up approximately at 4:30 from 5 to 6. He used to walk from 6 to 7. He had kept 1 hour for himself, and first meeting every day. He used to have a first meeting at 7 o'clock, wherever he is, whether he is in Katewadi, whether he is in Mumbai, whether he is in Pune. He used to have that first meeting at 7 o'clock, sharp 7 o'clock. Many ministers have told us off record, even in past, that whenever we are having a meeting with, we used to have meeting with Ajit Pawar, we never used to go there late, because he never used to like that. So that's why even the ministers, the cabinet ministers, used to come way early than the time, so that they would miss the meeting, and there will not be any issue. So that's how Ajit Pawar was. And I remember that in one of the interviews which I had done in the past of his, and I had gone to Baramati and visited the Baramati, and his staff actually forgot to tell him that we have given the appointment to this reporter. And moreover, I asked for the interview. He said, "I haven't given you appointment." I said, "Yes, my appointment is there with you for the interview." He made sure that he will extend his schedule, and he will accommodate us for the interview. So that's how he was. And as everyone is telling us that if he's saying yes, it is happening, yes, that will happen, and Ajit Pawar will make sure that he will make it. If it is not going to happen, he will on that person will tell that this is going to happen. we have the thing, and Ajit Pawar will person. So this is how Ajit Pawar was functioning. This is how Ajit Pawar was being.
All right. Oh, well, Mayuresh, thank you so much for sharing that anecdote with us. Also, Mr. Tiwari, let me just come to you as Mayuresh has mentioned also what Baramati really meant and signified in not just his political journey but his journey in life, and where we are seeing all these people come out on the streets today. What do you have to say about that, sir?
No, essentially, born there, born in Baramati, started his political career from there. His mentor was an MP from there. He himself was an MP and MLA from there. So of course, there is a close association with the people of the constituency, and he is always known for helping people, as you've mentioned, and the reporters have also mentioned. He used to start his meetings 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. He used to meet people in hordes who used to come to him for help, for some work, etc. And he used to be always there for the people of Baramati. The level of development which has taken place in Baramati is also testimony to this fact, and that's why you see thousands and lakhs of people thronging to the streets to have to pay their last respects to the leader who has brought significant development to the Baramati and also cheer to the lives of the people there. So that's why I think the people have an emotional connect with the Pawar family, and especially Ajit Pawar, who has been leading the constituency and the party for a long time now.
Right, Mr. Tiwari, let me just expand on that a little further and for the benefit of our viewers as well. When we talk about Mr. Ajit Pawar's role in Maharashtra's political arithmetic and the entire alliance machinery, how significant do you assess his role to be?
No, essentially, if you see, uh, he always nursed ambitions to become a chief minister, and he was a deputy CM 6 times in many governments in the government of Congress NCP, then Uddhav Thackeray, and then Devendra Fadnavis in the end. See, NCP as a party is largely comprising of landlords and regional satraps. So he knew that it is very essential for the party to remain or to be aligned with power, and that's why the tactical decision in 2023 was taken when he decided to join the Mahayuti. So you can say that he was a survivor of sorts. He also realized that to keep the party united, he needed to have a share of the pie, the power pie, and that's why he took that decision. But he also remained true to his ideology in that sense that he always remained secular. He was against batenge to katenge type of slogans, and he aired his views very openly, and that's what makes him apart. That despite being part of an alliance where BJP and Shiv Sena, natural alliance partners, were there for a long time, and NCP essentially was not a natural partner for the alliance. He stuck to his ideology and was very blunt and open in criticizing any step of or misstep of the BJP with respect to communal polarization, etc.
Right. Ms. Shah, let me just come to you on that as well. Of course, when we try and unpack what happens going forward and what the political flux in Maharashtra means and how that's going to be ironed out, when we talk about all the speculation regarding perhaps the NCP factions reuniting and also what it means for the alliance machinery there.
See, I will tell you this, that he was a very important part of the Mahayuti government. Our Honorable CM and DCM has said that a Dildar and Damdar Neta has been lost. Our CM has said so. Our DCM said that he's like an elder brother. Today is a black day for Maharashtra, and the respect that has to be given to the Pawar family, the NCP family, will be given by the Mahayuti government. We were working as three of them, the tallest leader of Maharashtra, were working together for progress, for development, and for the empowerment of women. It can't be taken away that Ladki Bahin Yojana was so effortlessly planned properly, and the funds were given by Ajit Dada, and therefore we as women are very thankful to him. I have served. I also have a personal anecdote to share. I have served as the chairperson of Women's Commission as well as the Child Right Commission. So whenever I used to go to meet him for getting some funds, getting some policies approved, he always mentioned to me that Susie Ben, you can come to me anytime. He would immediately organize a big meeting of all the IAS officer in attendance and ensure that immediate steps are taken. That was the man, a man who had firm grip on the administration. No one could take him lightly. He meant what he said. He was truly a leader for the people, by the people, and of the people. He was an eight-time MLA, eight-time MLA, continuously winning with larger and larger margins of victory. So today you can see from the people who are there that he was loved by one and all across party lines, across MLAs,
Absolutely.
from political parties came to him for guidance, and he never shied away in giving mentoring them, guiding them, including me. He always maintained that you must run the administration in a very transparent manner. If you can't do it, say so. If you can do it, then do it in time bound manner. So here is Ajit Dada, truly a of Maharashtra, Dada of Maharashtra politics in the true sense of the word. And we miss our elder brother, a fatherly figure for most, a brother to the sisters of Maharashtra. We pay our sincere, heartfelt homage to this great man, to this stalwart.
Thank you so much for sharing that anecdote also there. Of course, by way of all these anecdotes, we're further able to see just how much he meant to the people, for those he was closely associated with, how he played a mentor figure for most across party lines. And of course, by way of the tributes that have been pouring in, the VIP movement that we're seeing, the number of people, the top leaders who have joined the final journey of Ajit Dada that we're seeing today, that is only testament to his legacy and the work that he's done for his constituency and for his people. Mr. Singh, let me come to you on that also. Of course, we're hearing all these anecdotes, which of course is good for our viewers also, because it just goes to show what a monolithic figure he was when it came to Maharashtra politics. That being said, how do you assess the significance of his legacy, and going forward, what do you think the discourse should be from this point on, at a time when, of course, there are efforts by some to politicize these issues and recklessly float some conspiracy theories?
One thing I don't know, people do not agree or people do not talk about is that Ajit Pawar actually showed the entire country that in politics there are no permanent friends and no permanent enemy. And he was the living epitome of that, because he could work with any political party, and that is how politics should work. That if you need to work for power, if you need to work for development, you have to ally with anyone and everyone, and at the same time keep your own ideology. That is what he did. Even in the local municipal corporation elections that just happened, he decided, and the BJP decided that they do not want to contest with Ajit Pawar. He didn't shy away from tying with Sharad Pawar, with whom he broke ties few years ago. So,
Yeah.
that is how politics should work, and that is what he showed. And talking about the kind of unnecessary controversy that is being created, I would just say that, these people who are creating the controversies are those, especially coming from those states also, and those leaders who have elections in foresight. Had they had humanity in foresight, probably they would not have made these kind of statements. But because election and power makes you blind, and we have seen it multiple times, and probably Mamata Banerjee doesn't know how politics in Maharashtra works, and Kejriwal doesn't know how politics here works, and even Akhilesh Yadav, for that matter. They do not understand how in Maharashtra people do not, at time of grief, raise such issues. They rise above all this, and Sharad Pawar, at his age, had to come down. If you hear that video, it is very sad that when he, and that grief on his face, his movements, his words are clearly visible. He had to come down to put down the rumors. There cannot be anything sadder than that in times like this. And I hope politicians outside Maharashtra, politicians not from the NDA, who are making these kind of statements, realize that they are actually hurting the sensitivities of people over here. And it's time that they better go introspect and take back those statements if possible.
Absolutely. Now, Mr. Tiwari, of course, what Mr. Singh there said, of course, is further testament to his political flexibility and his political will. While some would like to mask political gain and inflexibility as a principal choice, there we had a figure like Ajit Pawar, who's always willing to mentor people across party lines and always was willing to work for the people. We've heard multiple anecdotes and stories about how flexible he was, how much he wanted to accommodate the people, and always wanted to lend a helping hand to those who reached out for help. That being said, of course, going forward, we are seeing the pall of gloom in Baramati. The number of people from across party lines who've joined in this final journey of Ajit Pawar, if you had something to share on that.
Yeah, clear.
उद्बोधन 140 करोड़ देशवासियों के आत्मविश्वास की अभिव्यक्ति था। एक सौ 40 करोड़ देशवासियों के पुरुषार्थ का लेखा जोखा था और 140 करोड़ देशवासी और उसमें भी ज्यादातर युवा उनके एस्पिरेशंस को रेखांकित करने का बहुत ही सटीक उद्बोधन सभी सांसदों के लिए कई मार्गदर्शक बातें भी कल आदरणीय राष्ट्रपति जी ने सदन में सबके सामने रखी है। सत्र के प्रारंभ में ही और 2026 के प्रारंभ में ही आदरणीय राष्ट्रपति जी ने सांसदों से जो अपेक्षाएं व्यक्त की हैं, उन्होंने बहुत ही सरल शब्दों में राष्ट्र के मुखिया के रूप में जो भावनाएं व्यक्त की हैं, मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि सभी माननीय सांसदों ने उसको गंभीरता से लिया ही होगा और ये सत्र अपने आप में बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण सत्र होता है। ये बजट सत्र है। 21वीं सदी का एक चौथाई हिस्सा बीत चुका है। ये दूसरे चौथाई का प्रारंभ हो रहा है और 2047 विकसित भारत के लक्ष्य को प्राप्त करने के लिए ये महत्वपूर्ण 25 वर्ष का दौर आरंभ हो रहा है और ये दूसरे क्वार्टर का, इस शताब्दी की दूसरे क्वार्टर का ये पहला बजट आ रहा है और वित्त मंत्री निर्मला जी देश की पहली वित्त मंत्री ऐसी है, महिला वित्त मंत्री ऐसी है जो लगातार 9वीं बार देश के संसद में बजट प्रस्तुत करने जा रही है। ये अपने आप में एक गौरव पल के रूप में भारत के संसदीय इतिहास में रजिस्टर हो रहा है। साथियों, ये विश्व का प्रारंभ बहुत ही पॉजिटिव नोट के साथ शुरू हुआ है। आत्मविश्वास भरा हिंदुस्तान आज विश्व के लिए आशा की किरण भी बना है, आकर्षण का केंद्र भी बना है। इस क्वार्टर के प्रारंभ में ही भारत और यूरोपियन यूनियन का फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट आने वाली दिशाएं कितनी उज्जवल है, भारत के युवाओं का भविष्य कितना उज्जवल है, उसकी एक झलक है। ये फ्री ट्रेड फॉर एम्बिशियस भारत है। ये फ्री ट्रेड फॉर एस्पिरेशनल यूथ है। ये फ्री ट्रेड फॉर आत्मनिर्भर भारत है। और मुझे पक्का विश्वास है, खास करके जो भारत के मैन्युफैक्चरर्स हैं, वे इस अवसर को अपनी क्षमताएं बढ़ाने के लिए करेंगे। और मैं सभी प्रकार के उत्पादकों से यही कहूंगा कि जब भारत यूरोपियन यूनियन के बीच मदर ऑफ ऑल डील्स जिसको कहते हैं, वैसा समझौता हुआ है, तब मेरे देश के उद्योगकार, मेरे देश के मैन्युफैक्चरर्स अब तो बहुत बड़ा बाजार खुल गया, अब बहुत सस्ते में हमारा माल पहुंच जाएगा, इतने भाव से वो बैठे न रहे। ये एक अवसर है और इस अवसर का सबसे पहला मंत्र ये होता है कि हम क्वालिटी पर बल दें। हम अब जब बाजार खुल गया है तो उत्तम से उत्तम क्वालिटी लेकर के बाजार में जाएं। और अगर उत्तम से उत्तम क्वालिटी लेकर के जाते हैं तो हम यूरोपियन यूनियन के 27 देशों के खरीदारों के पैसे ही कमाते इतना नहीं, क्वालिटी के कारण से हम उनका दिल जीत लेते हैं और वो लंबे अरसे तक प्रभाव रहता है, उसका दशकों तक उसका प्रभाव रहता है। कंपनियों का ब्रांड देश के ब्रांड के साथ नए गौरव को प्रस्थापित कर देता है। और इसलिए 27 देशों के साथ हुआ ये समझौता हमारे देश के मछुआरे, हमारे देश के किसान, हमारे देश के युवान, सर्विस सेक्टर में जो लोग विश्व में अलग अलग जगह पे जाने के उत्सुक हैं, उनके लिए बहुत बड़े अवसर लेकर के आ रहा है। और मुझे पक्का विश्वास है, एक प्रकार से कॉन्फिडेंट, कॉम्पिटिटिव और प्रोडक्टिव भारत की दिशा में ये बहुत बड़ा कदम है। साथियों, देश का ध्यान बजट की तरफ होना बहुत स्वाभाविक है, लेकिन इस सरकार की ये पहचान रही है रिफॉर्म, परफॉर्म एंड ट्रांसफॉर्म। और अब तो हम रिफॉर्म एक्सप्रेस पर चल पड़े हैं, बहुत तेजी से चल पड़े हैं। और मैं संसद के भी सभी साथियों का आभार व्यक्त करता हूं कि इस रिफॉर्म एक्सप्रेस को गति देने में वे भी अपनी सकारात्मक शक्ति को लगा रहे हैं और उसके कारण रिफॉर्म एक्सप्रेस को भी लगातार गति मिल रही है। देश लॉन्ग टर्म पेंडिंग प्रॉब्लम्स अब उससे निकल करके लॉन्ग टर्म सॉल्यूशंस के मार्ग पर मजबूती के साथ कदम रख रहा है। और जब लॉन्ग टर्म सॉल्यूशंस होते हैं तब प्रिडिक्टेबिलिटी होती है, जो विश्व में एक भरोसा पैदा करती है। हमारे हर निर्णय में राष्ट्र की प्रगति, ये हमारा लक्ष्य है, लेकिन हमारे सारे निर्णय ह्यूमन सेंट्रिक है। हमारी भूमिका, हमारी योजनाएं ह्यूमन सेंट्रिक है। हम टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ स्पर्धा भी करेंगे, हम टेक्नोलॉजी को आत्मसात भी करेंगे, हम टेक्नोलॉजी के सामर्थ्य को स्वीकार भी करेंगे, लेकिन उसके साथ साथ हम मानव केंद्रीय व्यवस्था को जरा भी कम नहीं आंकेंगे। हम संवेदनशीलता की महत्व को समझते हुए टेक्नोलॉजी की जुगलबंदी के साथ आगे बढ़ने के व्यू के साथ आगे सोचेंगे। जो हमारे टीकाकार रहते हैं साथी, हमारे प्रति पसंद नापसंद का रवैया रहता है और लोकतंत्र में बहुत स्वाभाविक है, लेकिन एक बात हर कोई कहता है कि सरकार ने लास्ट माइल डिलीवरी पर बल दिया है। योजना फाइलों तक नहीं, लाइव तक पहुंचाने का प्रयास रहता है, और यही हमारी जो परंपरा है उसको हम आने वाले दिनों में रिफॉर्म एक्सप्रेस में नेक्स्ट जनरेशन रिफॉर्म के साथ आगे बढ़ाने हैं। भारत की डेमोक्रेसी और भारत की डेमोग्राफी आज दुनिया के लिए एक बहुत बड़ी उम्मीद है। तब इस लोकतंत्र के मंदिर में हम विश्व समुदाय को भी कोई संदेश दें, हमारे सामर्थ्य का, हमारे लोकतंत्र के प्रति समर्पण का, लोकतंत्र की प्रक्रिया के द्वारा हुए निर्णयों का सम्मान करने का ये अवसर है, और विश्व इसको जरूर स्वागत भी करता है, स्वीकार भी करता है। आज जिस प्रकार से देश आगे बढ़ रहा है, आज समय व्यवधान का नहीं है, आज समय समाधान का है। आज प्राथमिकता व्यवधान नहीं है, आज प्राथमिकता समाधान है। आज भूमिका व्यवधान के माध्यम से रोते बैठने की नहीं है, आज हिम्मत के साथ समाधानकारी निर्णयों का कालखंड है। मैं सभी माननीय सांसदों से आग्रह करूंगा कि वे आएं, राष्ट्र के लिए आवश्यक समाधानों के दौर को हम गति दें, निर्णयों को हम शक्ति दें, और लास्ट माइल डिलीवरी में हम सफलतापूर्वक आगे बढ़ें। साथियों, आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं।
All right, that was Prime Minister Modi's live address ahead of the budget session. He's highlighted a lot of pertinent developments that we've seen in the last few months and of course in the past year as well. He spoke about how there has been a focus on last mile delivery and of course has lauded the India-EU mother of all deals, the FTA that we're talking about. The first budget, he said, of the second quarter of the century is about to be presented, and Nirmala Sitharaman is the first finance minister of the country to present the union budget in parliament for the 9th consecutive term. This in itself is being recorded as a moment of huge pride, reiterated the Prime Minister. So, of course, this was his big address ahead of the budget session. We are going to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. News and updates will continue on the other side.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Viewers, we have breaking news coming in. This just in. UBT Sena Chief Uddhav Thackeray meets Pawar family in Baramati. Viewers, we're given to understand that UBT Sena Chief Uddhav Thackeray has met Pawar family in Baramati. So, Mayuresh, back to you. Who exactly from the Pawar family was present during the meeting, and was Sharad Pawar himself involved or consulted? If you could give us a little information on that.
So Uddhav Thackeray late in the night had arrived at Baramati, and he met Ajit Pawar's family at Baramati residence. In that meeting, or when Uddhav Thackeray reached at Ajit Pawar residence, Parth Pawar, son of Ajit Pawar, was there. Even the Sunetra Pawar, wife of Ajit Pawar, was there. And the Rashmi Thackeray and Uddhav Thackeray met the grieving family members, and they also shared their condolences with the family. This meeting basically happened in the Baramati residence of Ajit Pawar, and almost lasted for 15 to 20 minutes. Because if you have to remember that Ajit Pawar was also deputy chief minister of Maharashtra during the Mahavikas Aghadi regime.
And Mayuresh, both you and Yesha are at the Kativeri farmhouse of Ajit Pawar, where the last rites, where the prayer meeting is happening, the last rites eventually. And Mayuresh, both you and Yesha are at the Kativeri farmhouse of Ajit Pawar, where the last rites, where the prayer meeting is happening, the last rites eventually get conducted later in the day. The kind of attendance that Mayuresh you have been talking about and taking our viewers through, we are also learning that the Shiv Sena UBT chief Uddhav Thackeray also has made his way to Baramati to offer his condolences. So we were already talking about how leaders across political spectrums have all assembled there to in fact bid adieu to Ajit Pawar. The kind of significance that he's had in Maharashtra politics, in national politics, is immense.
Absolutely, and very few people know that Ajit Pawar, before contesting the state assembly election, he had contested the Lok Sabha election from the Baramati constituency, and he had won his first election. So that how his political career started from Lok Sabha. So when we had interviewed Ajit Pawar, that time also I had asked him that why didn't you like the Delhi atmosphere, or why didn't you like that atmosphere? So he said, no, always my attention was in Maharashtra and my constituency Baramati, and that's why I decided. I told Sharad Pawar that I don't want a second term, and I came back to Maharashtra. As you asked about the Uddhav Thackeray, yes, last night Uddhav Thackeray had met the family here only at Kathiawadi, where he met Sunitra Pawar, Ajit Pawar's wife, and chief minister. It was the first time Uddhav Thackeray had taken any constitutional post. He became the chief minister, and he was not having any experience of how to run the show or how to run the assembly. That time Ajit Pawar had always come for his rescue. And Uddhav Thackeray has admitted that I was not having any kind of experience, but it was Ajit Pawar and few other senior colleagues like Balasaheb Thorat and Ashok Chavan who helped me to run the entire show, and especially during the COVID. After also we saw that when Uddhav Thackeray was not well, that time also Ajit Pawar took the charge, and he used to head the cabinet meetings as a deputy chief minister, and he had taken few decisions that time. So Ajit Pawar was a person that he used to help his colleagues. He used to show the way to his colleagues. A small memory I can tell during after the COVID, when there was several road works which are happening in Mumbai under BMC and Maharashtra government. That time Ajit Pawar asked Aditya Thackeray to do a kind of a surprise inspection. He along with Aditya Thackeray had done a surprise inspection at 6 a.m. in the morning to see whether the work has been done or whether work has not been done. Right. If we talk about Ajit Pawar, his aesthetic sense was amazing. If he found that something is missing or something is not matching to this particular structure which has been created with the help of the government money, he used to pull up the officials, he used to pull up the engineers, and used to make sure that they will fix it. So his aesthetic sense was amazing, I will say that. And we have seen that there are several videos where he is pulling up the officials and engineers for not making that perfect, not making that structure or not doing that work perfectly.
Well, absolutely. And isn't that an absolute piece of pathos? I'm taking on from the point that Mayuresh is making, Yesha, that this very tabletop airstrip that Baramati has, he had issues with it. He wanted an expansion of this very airstrip, and he was looking at developments. He wanted a status report, and he died while landing at this. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with CNN News 18. These are the live visuals of the Union Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, along with the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Eknath Shinde, who's arrived at the Vidya Pratishthan area for the last and final journey of Ajit Pawar. There you see the visuals of the Union Home Minister along with the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Eknath Shinde, arriving at the very venue, and there you see a large gathering, all set to bid their farewell to Ajit Pawar. Remember, Baramati, a stronghold of the Pawars, and that is where Ajit Pawar is being laid to rest. This is the Vidya Pratishthan school where even Ajit Pawar received his elementary education from. And there you see Supriya Sule, the cousin of Ajit Pawar, on your screens on the right side, along with on the left you see the Union Home Minister and Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Eknath Shinde, also arriving very, very close to the venue. All of these scenes that we are getting to you live from Baramati, that is also announcing the arrival of the Union Home Minister along with the Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister. And we also have, in fact, Nitin Nabin alongside the Union Home Minister who has arrived there. So the BJP President Nitin Nabin also there along with Amit Shah, who has now arrived at Baramati, and that's where the funeral is taking place at the Vidya Pratishthan School, a place where Ajit Pawar also really has a formal education from, and that is where he's been in fact laid to rest from. And the kind of assembly that you see, the supporters, leaders from political spectrums, and the body of Ajit Pawar wrapped in the tricolour. My colleague Yesha Kotak giving us all these developments. Yesha, even as we speak, we are learning of the arrival of the Union Home Minister along with the BJP President Nitin Nabin and Eknath Shinde.
Absolutely. In fact, this is because the Home Minister Amit Shah, along with Eknath Shinde, the Chief Minister, and the Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis are expected to be here at the Vidya Pratishthan very soon. That's why we want to show you visuals. In fact, right inside you see the supporters gathering inside. There are at least more than 1 lakh people who have gathered to pay last tributes to the former Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar. In a short while from now, we also expect that the funeral procession of Ajit Pawar to be reaching right here at the Vidya Pratishthan. Apart from that,
Right, Yesha, coming to you in just a bit, but here we are letting you know that the Union Home Minister Amit Shah, along with the BJP President Nitin Nabin, and the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis, the Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, all of them arriving together at this very venue at Vidya Pratishthan. There you see the arrival, and they are now being greeted as they have arrived at the venue. The family of Ajit Pawar is also very much present for this state funeral that will be now accorded to the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, now gone, Mr. Ajit Pawar. Ajit Dada, as he has been always fondly called in Maharashtra. And there you see Supriya Sule, the cousin of Ajit Pawar, along with his wife, Sunetra Pawar, for the final journey of Ajit Pawar. We also see Union Minister Nitin Gadkari there on the stage, and all of these leaders are being greeted by the family members of Ajit Pawar, who are standing united in this time of grief, as they are in fact letting all the people come in so that they can bid adieu to the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Mr. Ajit Pawar. There you can see a huge gathering, and it is now also being graced by the Union Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, along with the BJP President, Nitin Nabin. Yesha continues to be with us. Yesha, the kind of gathering and the surge of people that we see speaks volumes about the support that Ajit Pawar has had in this bastion of his in Baramati, and speaks volumes about the support of the Pawar family, because this is considered to be a stronghold of the Pawars. There you see the kind of attendance and the very place where Nitin Nabin is going to be, in fact, he's also been there, Nitin Nabin, along with the Union Home Minister who's arrived there. He is there along with also the Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis and Eknath Shinde. All of them, all four of them, do we see arriving together at the venue at Vidya Pratishthan. Nitin Nabeen, Union Home Minister, Amit Shah, Devendra Fadnavis, the Maharashtra Chief Minister, his deputy Eknath Shinde, Union Minister Nitin Gadkari also there on your screens. You do see the NCP patriarch Sharad Pawar also sitting beside him. And that's the kind of gathering that we see, all of them assembled there to bid adieu to Ajit Pawar, one of the tallest leaders of Maharashtra, and now finally going to be laid to rest. We are once again cutting across to these visuals of Amit Shah as he arrived there to pay tributes to, in fact, Ajit Pawar and Nitin Nabeen also, in fact, with him. We have a guest now joining us on the broadcast. Remember, we're constantly talking about the legacy that Ajit Pawar leaves behind. Rohit Chandravakar, who's a senior journalist, is with us on the broadcast. Rohit, while we put across these visuals and the sea of humanity that has assembled there to bid adieu to Ajit Pawar, we have to speak about the legacy that he leaves behind. Huge void to fill there. Rohit, if you can hear me. All right, let me go across to brand strategist Daniel Francis, who's also with us, and Uday Nirgutka, another senior journalist who's now joining us on the broadcast. Daniel, we were talking about the legacy that Ajit Pawar leaves behind, even as we see the state funeral that is now being accorded to him. And on the right side, viewers, on your screen, you do see Ajit Pawar's mortal remains being wrapped in the tricolour, and with full state honours, his body is now being taken to the funeral pyre. These are live shots that are coming in from Vidya Pratishthan. Full state honours accorded to the Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister. This is the final journey of Ajit Dada.
दादांच्या कर्तृत्वाची साक्ष देतो.
आदरणीय दादांना आपण हा अखेरचा निरोप देणार आहोत.
सर्वांना विनंती आहे.
आदरणीय दादा ही केवळ एका कुटुंबापुरती मर्यादित व्यक्ती नाही, तर आदरणीय दादा म्हणजे संपूर्ण बारामतीचे कुटुंब. महाराष्ट्रामध्ये प्रत्येक जण.
The emotions are only palpable. Somber scenes that are coming to us live from Baramati, and there you see Ajit Pawar's body headed for the funeral pyre. Full state honours that will be now accorded to the Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister. His entire family is assembled over there to bid adieu to Ajit Pawar. A very, very somber scene that you see, and that currently is underway. My guests continue to be with us on the broadcast. Daniel, I was talking to you earlier about the legacy that Ajit Dada leaves behind, and amid chants of Ajit Dada, Amar Rahe, Darya Dil Dada, this is the kind of impact that he has left in Maharashtra and his people there in Baramati.
Undoubtedly, Ajit Dada was one of the most popular, loved and dependable politicians for not just Baramati but for the rest of Western Maharashtra, and wherever the NCP had a base, when we would go to the Mantralaya, which is the second.
सावित्रुभः प्रसव उत्तूनाम्य चुद्रेण पवित्रेण सुहृतस्य रश्मिभिः तस्य ते पवित्रपदे पवित्रभूतस्य तत्कामाः पुनेत नेत्राभ्यां मधुकोपस्पर्शः आचम्य मोगे साहेब गोत्रस्य
पूर्वोच्चारिते ग्रह प्रविशेषण विशिष्टायां शुभ पुण्यतिथौ गोत्रस्य अत्रम उपतिष्ठतु उपतिष्ठतु तिलाक्षतान् उपतिष्ठतु पुष्पम् उपतिष्ठतु धूपम् उपतिष्ठतु दीपम् उपतिष्ठतु नैवेद्यम् उपतिष्ठतु फलताम्बूलम् उपतिष्ठतु ॐ अनादिनिधनो देव शङ्खचक्रगदाधर अक्षय पुण्डरीकाक्ष प्रेतमोक्षप्रदो भव हरिः ॐ मा अकरन् कर्म कर्म कृताः सहत्वा च मयो भुवा देवेभ्यः कर्म कृत्वास्तं प्रेतस च भुवः
अगर आपको या साथ नहीं आ पाए और यहाँ पर भी जान पाए
हरिः ॐ अग्नि जमाय त्वाङ्गिरसवते पितरे मते स्वाहा स्वाहा घर्माय स्वाहा घर्मा पितरे अग्निन्दूतं ददे हव्यवाहमुपब्रुवे देवा आसादयादिह ब्रह्मजज्ञानं प्रथमं पुरस्ताद्रिसीमतः सुरुचोभ्येन आवाह सपत्न्या उपमा अस्य दृष्टाः सतश्च जोनिम सतश्च विवाह ओम त्रिपादनक्षत्राधिष्ठात्र देवतेभ्यो नमः पूजनाख्येन कर्मणा पापः महाविष्णु प्रियता नमः अतरम् उपतिष्ठतु अतरम् उपतिष्ठतु अतरम् उपतिष्ठतु अतरम् उपतिष्ठतु अतरम् उपतिष्ठतु गन्धम् उपतिष्ठतु गन्धम् उपतिष्ठतु गन्धम् उपतिष्ठतु तिलाक्षदान् उपतिष्ठतु तिलाक्षदान् उपतिष्ठतु तिलाक्षदान् उपतिष्ठतु पुष्पम् उपतिष्ठतु पुष्पम् उपतिष्ठतु पुष्पम् उपतिष्ठतु धूपम् उपतिष्ठतु धूपम् उपतिष्ठतु नैवेद्यम् उपतिष्ठतु फलताम्बूलम् उपतिष्ठतु अनादिनिधनो देव शङ्ख चक्र गदाधर अक्षय पुण्डरीकाक्ष प्रेतमोक्षप्रदो भव अकरन् कर्म कर्म कृताः सहत्वाचामयो भुव देवेभ्यः कर्म कृत्वा स्तं प्रेत स च भुवः पूर्वाधिष्ठातृदेवतेभ्यो नमः त्रातारमिन्द्रमवितारमिन्द्रको हवे हवे सुहवग्गो शूरमिन्द्रम् भयामि शक्रं पुरुहूतमिन्द्रको मघवा धात्विन्द्रः ओम दक्षिण अधिष्ठात्री प्रेत मातृदेवताभ्यो नमः पश्चिम अधिष्ठात्री प्रेत मातृदेवताभ्यो नमः उत्तरे प्रेत अधिष्ठात्री प्रेत मातृदेवताभ्यो नमः सकलोपचारार्थे गन्धाद्युपचारैः सम्पूज्य ओम अग्नये स्वाहा इदमग्नये नमः कामाय स्वाहा इदं कामाय नमः लोकाय स्वाहा लोकाय नमः हनुमतये स्वाहा इदं हनुमतये नमः प्रेताय स्वाहा प्रेताय नमः ॐ पिण्डोपरि ॐ आनेन अग्निदेवताः प्रीयतां नमः असौ स्वर्गाय लोकाय स्वाहा प्रेताय स्वाहा इदं प्रेताय नमः
ड्रोन प्लीज खाली घ्यायचे. ड्रोन पोलीस विभागाची सूचना, ड्रोन खाली घ्या.
साहेबांसाठी चेअर चेअर दादा बसा 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 हे बसून बसून घ्या हां सगळे बसून त्यांना पण बसवा इथे का मागची व्हीलच्या मागची त्याच्या मागची हां सगळ्यांना बसवा ना कोणच नाही दिसत
त्याच्या मागच्या सगळ्या बाजूला
इकडे नको माझा
प्रेरणाय चक्षुषे यो वच्युतमूर्धा भागयते हनः कुशरीरिवमातरा तस्मारङ्गमामभूयचक्षयाय तिंहत आभोजनयथा च नः पुष्पमालां सुप्रतिष्ठतु
मेनुल करा आणि व्हॅल्यूम फुल कर
टॉप अँगल घे म्हणतात रिसिव्ह कर
नारायण श्रेष्ठ लक्ष्मीकांत वरप्रद अनेन तर्पणेनाथ प्रेतमोक्षो प्रदो भव
अरे हर्षदचा काय शॉट मिळतो एंटीना वर करणार आहे आता पुढे
Live visuals of the funeral, the final journey of Ajit Dada currently underway at the Vidya Pratishthan ground there. You see Sunetra Pawar along with his sons and also nephew there, and Supriya Sule bidding adieu to Ajit Pawar. Daniel Francis continues to be with us. Daniel, the legacy, the void that Ajit Dada leaves behind in Maharashtra.
Massive void. It's a massive legacy. And the age and times that built Ajit Pawar, that made Ajit Pawar what he was, don't exist anymore. Politics, in terms of the kind of new generation politicians that we see, the kind of time they spend with people, the kind of time they spend in travels are much lesser. The kind of constituency building exercises that they undertake, you see this Baramati is a fantastic constituency. It's a very well developed industrial constituency and brought a great prosperity to the people of and good quality of education to the people of Baramati. I have seen many politicians who have represented their constituencies for 8 times, 10 times, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. But every person in India should learn from how to build a constituency. And it was done after Ajit Pawar came to, his relevance grew in the state and started representing Baramati as a MLA. And for us 30, 35 years, he nurtured it. Baramati has one of the best roads, the best irrigation systems, the best infrastructure and the best education institutions and healthcare systems. So, something that, and very well connected to major cities around Baramati. And this is the legacy that he leaves. He leaves a legacy of people's leader. He leaves a legacy of a leader who loved his workers, party men, who was always amongst them. He leaves a legacy of a very strong and able and capable administrator who worked tirelessly. See, during COVID also, Ajit Pawar would come at 6 a.m. to Mantralaya. That's his working style. That was his working style. He never left. And the criticism that Uddhav Thackeray would work from home started because Ajit Pawar would come to office regularly and take a stock of the state. He would travel the state, length and breadth of the state during COVID. In fact, one is not able to, assess his performance during COVID. During COVID, his administrative performance was superb. He traveled the length and breadth of Maharashtra. He contained COVID. He took all the major steps. And Rajesh Tope, who was the health minister, was also from his party. So, a phenomenal administrator. He had its own style, and he would get into controversies because of the statements he made. He was not as careful as Mr. Sharad Pawar, but I don't think he had any regrets.
No, absolutely. Daniel, other than being, called a very, very shrewd administrator, a very, very, in fact, able one, and the fact that he leaves the state of Maharashtra in a flux now with his passing, one thing that was also said about him that he was the angry young man of Maharashtra. He was not really shy of mentioning what he.
His style was restless. His style was dominating. His style was my way or the highway, and that's what made him very popular amongst people. And he would instill the fear of God amongst officers, and he was a no-nonsense guy. If you see, the starting, what they said at it started around 11 o'clock. It has started at 11 o'clock. He was very punctual. Unlike many politicians, he was very, very punctual politician, and he had great value for time. And if he's granted you a meeting and you are late 5 minutes, you'll get 10-15 calls from his office. Where are you? Why are you not able to be on time here? So, and that will cut your time with him. So he was very punctual in that sense. But and even after coming with BJP, he did not pander to their politics, the larger nationalist Hindutva politics. Even after
Absolutely.
coming with BJP, he never went to the RSS headquarters when party men would go to,
Right.
RSS
Right.
headquarters
And
daily.
even as we speak, very, very emotional farewell that is currently underway. The family of Ajit Pawar paying their last respects to Ajit Dada. Uday Nirgudkar is also with us on the broadcast. Uday, we were in fact throwing light on the shrewd strategist that Ajit Pawar was, and the fact that he was a man of his word. Being punctual is one thing that everybody really mentions about him being in the Mantralaya, even at 6:30 a.m., as early as that. He would never miss a beat and be there when he had mentioned it, but also being a man of his words.
Absolutely. What you said about his being timeliness has been experienced by many journalists like me. I remember way back in 2014, one late in the evening, I asked for an appointment for the interview. His office granted me at 6 next day. I said, I'm there in the Nariman Point area. Not to worry, I will come. He said, hello, it is not 6 p.m. It is 6 a.m. He is asking you to come. And then I said, welcome to the world of Ajit Pawar. Ajit Pawar, a strict disciplinarian, only yes and no, nothing like wait. I will look into it, I will see into it, I will see if this can be done. Let me come back to you. No, he will pick up the phone, he will call, he will study the matter. There are very few ministers I have seen while covering the ministerial meetings who would come prepared completely with notes handwritten by him what to speak on each and every matter to be discussed. There are very few people like that. A strict financial disciplinarian, and he will not mince any word. When Ladki Bahan Yojana was launched, and he was the finance minister, he knew the debt burden, he knew the financial constraints, he knew the limitations what we can go, and that additional burden of 36,000 crore on the treasury, he openly expressed his displeasure, and that's what Ajit Pawar is all about. While expressing sympathy and empathy to the women, to the women section, women voters, but he will not go to woo to any extent for their votes. He would put in that financial discipline.
Not at the
So,
cost of the state constraints. Very rightly
of
put
course.
there. We'd also like to go across to Rohit Chandravakar, who's also, in fact, standing by, another senior journalist who joins us. In fact, Rohit, if we take this conversation forward from he being a strict disciplinarian to being a man of his words, not mincing his words, also being angry when he chose to, in fact, not like certain things that were ongoing when it is about the political spectrum of Maharashtra or in the cabinet there. His political journey that began, in fact, from Baramati, when he was, in fact, selected as the MLA there in 1991. 92, he resigned from the ministry. So it has been an ongoing tussle ever since his political journey began.
Yes, a long career graph. In fact, in 1991, he got elected to Lok Sabha, not an MLA, but he got elected as an MP, Member of Parliament. That's where his career started as a politician. Before that, of course, he was very active in the cooperative movement in Western Maharashtra. He was chairman of a few sugar factories and all of that. But from 91 onwards, for the first 5 years, he spent in Lok Sabha. Then he returned to Maharashtra politics and became an MLA. And ever since, he has not lost a single election. In fact, remained a minister, presented 11 budgets of Maharashtra government as finance minister, which was a record. This year would have been 12th budget, but fate didn't allow that. A long career, and I keep saying that he was a man of few words, didn't really mingle too much with media, but had a great grassroots connect with his karyakartas, with his activists, and was accessible to everybody. The big part was that he took bold decisions politically also, and as an administrator also kept talking about bringing fiscal discipline at district level in Pune, where he was the guardian minister of Pune district for so many years, 2 decades almost, and also at state level. He was the one who last year told media that what kind of constraints state government has on development projects and how they will have to go for borrowing had a great, connect with the bureaucracy in terms of financial planning and all of that. So, man of, different talents, and I could, connect with him a few times, interviewed him a few times for the Economic Times and other publications. I could see that. His nature was to get into serious study about or whatever subject he was handling. For instance, if he was building some projects in Baramati, he would consult the right kind of architects, get the information, study it properly, and go ahead with the project. If you go around in Baramati, I've been to that place a few times. You will not think it's a small town. It looks like any metropolitan city of a smaller size with population of just, let's say, 2-3 lakhs. But the facilities you see there, the government bus depot, or the police stations that you have in that city,
Yes.
or the hospitals that you have in that city, all are of international standard. In fact, the bus depot,
And
many
Rohit, he
people say,
wanted the
looks like an
runway,
airport.
the airport too, to be of international standards. Unfortunate end that happened very, very close to that tabletop airstrip. But he wanted development as far as that too is concerned. He had flagged those concerns earlier as well. He wanted an expansion of that very runway on which he was about to land when he passed away.
Yes, it's really ironical that Ajit Pawar, who was instrumental in getting an airport at Baramati with the help of Praful Patel, who was civil aviation minister at that time, actually, his life ended uh, very close to that very airport or that runway. It's really, fateful, terrible thing that happened yesterday. But coming to his, grassroots connect and political connect, I can say without doubt that he was one of the top few politicians in Maharashtra, people like Sharad Pawar or Devendra Fadnavis or a few others you can name, who had that vision for Maharashtra about what to do in the coming next 10 years, let's say, next decade, 2036, where should Maharashtra be? In terms of its financial growth, in terms of its agriculture sector, in terms of the irrigation schemes and all of that. Yes, there were many allegations leveled against him, but he survived through that. Another thing I keep saying is, his grassroots connect was such that he would get into that rural lingo, that rural language that he used many times at rallies, which really appealed to the masses and maybe shocked urban elite a bit. So he got criticized for using a certain type of language in his rallies sometimes during election campaign and all, and he had to retract some words sometimes. But that didn't deter him, and he really appealed to the masses with that kind of rural language that he used in his
Right.
rallies, and his straightforward nature, which is a typical rural thing that you see in Western Maharashtra or any other part of
Absolutely, and that is
Maharashtra.
exactly why he was called the son of the soil. Uday, the fact that he got a formidable head start because his uncle is Sharad Pawar, but he chose to come out of his shadows. He made his own political identity in Maharashtra.
Born in such a family where you have a legend already in place and shining like a star on the horizon. It's not easy. There you have to carve out your own niche. Not only you have to follow the footsteps, support, but you must understand the Pune politics was made simpler, easier, and comfortable for Sharad Pawar by Ajit Pawar. Once we were talking off the line, he explained to me how one by one the opponents of Sharad Pawar he tackled, be it Suresh Kalmadi, Anand Thopte, Shankarao Bajirao Patil, so many a list, dozens of lists, and how he took it head on, and that's why he got the tag of a Tagya, what is called as a rough man on the street. It is because of that. He when I asked him about him, he said, whom I did this all for. And when the war of succession came, he with heavy heart was ready to take head on with the family. We all know that most of the family members back the patriarch Sharad Pawar, but
या
he
ठिकाणी
stood to his words absolutely.
अंत्यविधी
That calls
Right.
for
आपण
the
सुरू करणार
guts.
आहोत.
Right, absolutely. There, just taking a moment there, the funeral pyre is about to be lit. We're constantly bringing you live visuals from the from Baramati, where you also see that the family members, the leaders from politicals all across party lines have in fact been due, in fact paid their last respects to Ajit Pawar, and very very shortly the funeral pyre will be lit. You also saw
देशाचे केंद्रीय गृहमंत्री आदरणीय अमितजी शहा पुष्पचक्र वाहून श्रद्धांजलि अर्पण करतील। इस देश के केंद्रीय गृहमंत्री आदरणीय अमितजी शाह पुष्प चक्र भेंट चढ़ा के श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करेंगे। पुष्प चक्र वाहून श्रद्धांजलि अर्पण सर्वांना विनंती असणार आहे की आपण जागेवर उभे राहणार आहात आणि सर्व वर्दीधारी 21 पोलीस जवानांसह जनरल सॅल्यूट करण्यासाठी तयार असणार आहेत। पोलीस बँड पथक पुष्पचक्र वाहून श्रद्धांजलि अर्पण केल्यानंतर मानवंदना देणार आहेत। सर्वांना विनंती आहे इतर मान्यवरांना त्या ठिकाणी पुष्पचक्र अर्पण करण्यासाठी आपण पुढे बोलवतो आहे। नितीनजी नवीन भारतीय जनता पक्षाचे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष नवीन साहेब आदरणीय दादांना अर्पण करतील। तर राज्याचे मुख्यमंत्री देवेंद्रजी फडणवीस राज्याचे मुख्यमंत्री आदरणीय देवेंद्रजी फडणवीस त्यांना श्रद्धांजलि अर्पण करण्यासाठी या देशाचे रस्ते वाहतूक व महामार्ग केंद्रीय मंत्री नितीनजी गडकरी साहेब सध्या देवेंद्रजी फडणवीस राज्याचे मुख्यमंत्री आपल्या सहकार्याला अखेरचा निरोप देतात। यानंतर केंद्रीय मंत्री आदरणीय नितीनजी गडकरी साहेब तर गोव्याचे मुख्यमंत्री आदरणीय प्रमोदजी सावंत सगळ्यांना विनंती आहे की आपण प्लीज जागेवर बसा। आपल्याला सूचना दिल्यानंतर उभं राहायचंय। सध्या जागेवर बसा। गोव्याचे मुख्यमंत्री प्रमोदजी सावंत यानंतर महाराष्ट्र राज्याचे उपमुख्यमंत्री एकनाथजी शिंदे महाराष्ट्र राज्याचे उपमुख्यमंत्री एकनाथजी शिंदे यानंतर राहुलजी नॉर्वेकर विधानसभेचे स्पीकर राहुलजी नॉर्वेकर. महाराष्ट्र राज्याचे उपमुख्यमंत्री एकनाथजी शिंदे यांनी पुष्पचक्र अर्पण केलेलं आहे. त्यानंतर राहुलजी नॉर्वेकर. केंद्रीय मंत्री आदरणीय रामदासजी आठवले साहेब. केंद्रीय राज्यमंत्री आदरणीय आठवले साहेब. केंद्रीय राज्यमंत्री यानंतर महसूल मंत्री चंद्रशेखरजी बावनकुळे, वैद्यकीय शिक्षण मंत्री हसनजी मुश्रीफ, तसेच सन्माननीय त्यानंतर उच्च व तंत्र शिक्षण मंत्री चंद्रकांत दादा पाटील, तसेच केंद्रीय राज्यमंत्री तसेच सन्माननीय खासदार शाहू महाराज छत्रपती. चंद्रशेखरजी बावनकुळे यांच्यानंतर सन्माननीय भुजबळ साहेब. आंध्र प्रदेशचे सन्माननीय शिक्षण मंत्री नारा लोकेश, आपसे विनती है छगन भुजबळ साहेब यांच्यानंतर हसनजी मुश्रीफ, आपल्या लाडक्या नेत्याला श्रद्धांजली अर्पण करतात. यानंतर उच्च व तंत्र शिक्षण मंत्री चंद्रकांत दादा पाटील. प्लीज महाराष्ट्रभरातून आपण आदरणीय दादांच्या प्रेमापोटी आलेला आहात. नीरजजी चंद्रशेखर यांना विनंती आहे आपण पुढे यायचं. प्लीज इथले सगळे उभे असणारे प्लीज प्लीज समोरून बसायला सुरुवात करा. मागचे आपोआप बसतील. प्लीज पोलिसांना सहकार्य करा. फक्त थोडा वेळ प्लीज सहकार्य करा. मुरलीधरजी मोहोळ श्रद्धांजली अर्पण करतात. त्यानंतर छत्रपती शाहू महाराज श्रद्धांजली अर्पण करण्यासाठी येतात. आंध्र प्रदेशचे आदरणीय मंत्री नारा लोकेश. नीरजजी चंद्रशेखर आदरणीय खासदार.
State funeral that is currently underway for Ajit Dada, the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra. You've seen leaders from across political spectrums, including the Union Home Minister Amit Shah, the BJP President Nitin Nabin, Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis, and his Deputy Eknath Shinde, all of them, along with other senior leaders of the NCP and other political parties who have paid their last respects to Ajit Pawar. On your screens, you have the sons of Ajit Pawar who are in fact being greeted by every leader. Right now, Nara Lokesh on your screens, every leader who's come to pay their last respects to Ajit Pawar. Rohit Chandwakar and in fact Uday Nirgurkar also continues to be with us on the broadcast. Rohit, we see the state funeral that is being accorded to Ajit Dada Pawar, and the number of people that have assembled there in Baramati, and we do see that crowd only surging. And even as the funeral pyre is about to be lit, we do see members from the crowd wanting to still have a last glimpse of Ajit Pawar. That is the kind of emotion that is on full display here as we look at these visuals coming in from Baramati.
That's correct. In fact, the amount of people who are sitting there, maybe about more than 2 lakhs, I would estimate. But one important thing is they have been there since last evening. Can you imagine that? I mean, there is a lot of talk in politics about dynastic politics, family politics, or sons and nephews and daughters of politicians entering politics and continuing the legacy or getting the benefit, getting the advantage of being part of the dynasty, etc. But what you see here is beyond that. I mean, in his 35, 40-year long political career, look at the amount of love and affection that a person like Ajit Pawar has been able to generate, garner support for himself. It talks for itself in the visuals that you're right now playing. It is not easy to make people sit for whatever 17, 18 hours at your funeral, unless you have really influenced them, helped them, taken them forward in their villages, brought projects for them, helped them in their need of hour of need, and all of that for 3, 4 decades consistently. So what I can see right now is this is not artificial. This is not a rally where people have been brought by paying them. This is not any kind of show that has been put up. This is all genuine. This is all genuine love for the Pawar family, for Ajit Pawar, and for Sharad Pawar's family legacy that you see in Baramati today. And this really then answers why certain politicians get re-elected and re-elected again and again, and how they can form their own regional party and sustain it for so many years, 25, 26 years. Another point that I'd like to draw your attention to is an interesting thing. I can see that there is hardly any presence from the Congress party. You see, it's a new point that I want to throw light on, and you can, maybe your viewers or you can also think about why that is happening. Remember, Sharad Pawar felt that he was getting cornered in politics by the Congress leadership in Delhi 25 years ago, and decided to go solo and formed his own party. His nephew, his daughter, all of them are carrying that legacy. And today, Sharad Pawar and Pawar family stands at a position where you see them surrounded with all the top leadership of BJP. You have Union Minister Amit Shah there, you have Union Minister Nitin Gadkari there, you have Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis there, you have Shiv Sena leader Eknath Shinde there, you have the Thakres there, but you don't have Pawar's partners in the UPA, Rahul Gandhi, or any of the Congress leadership there. This shows how Pawar first grew in the Congress party, but then Pawar family carved their own niche in Western Maharashtra, especially in Baramati, and how they, are carrying it forward. There you can see Ritesh Deshmukh, son of former Maharashtra Chief Minister Vilas Rao Deshmukh. Now, Vilas Rao Deshmukh and Pawar had an uneasy equation. I can, I tell your viewers about that also. Because, there was this feeling in the Congress party that Pawar is getting competitive and starting a rivalry with the Congress party, etc. But on another level, Vilas Rao and Pawar also got along on various issues quite well. During the UPA regime, Manmohan Singh's government in Delhi, in Maharashtra, you had Vilas Rao Deshmukh as chief minister, Ajit Pawar in his ministry, and Sharad Pawar as Union Agriculture Minister in Delhi, and their equation worked well. So you have these personal relations also, which you can see, culminating in what you see on the screen right now. You have the political relations also, and you have certain strange things that you can see that Pawar's biggest partners in the UPA, the Congress party and the Congress leadership is totally missing here today. So
Right,
many things
absolutely.
that you can see in these visuals.
And Rohit, thank you so much for bringing that out and laying it bare for our viewers. And clearly, there is no attendance by the Congress party, very much part of the Mahavikas Aghadi, but they very, very conspicuous with their absence. At the cost of really digressing from what we see happening as the last rites are being conducted for Ajit Pawar, Uday. And we do see now Ritesh Deshmukh, one of the first actors to put out that condolence message after he learnt of the passing of Ajit Pawar. He is right there to pay his last respects to Ajit Pawar. Why do you think the Congress is choosing to walk into oblivion and isolation when it is about party politics? Why, in the time of grief and in one of the dark chapters where one of the tall leaders of Maharashtra has lost his life, very, very unfortunately, is the Congress choosing to stay away from the funeral?
These are some of the typical blunders that.
State of
Sorry.
mind of the people who are driving the Congress at this point of time. It's unfortunate that they fight over the sitting row at the Republic Day, but to such an event where a partner for last 40, 50 years has lost his close relative and a deputy CM, you don't find time to come. Not only that, I have hardly seen any tweet, any bite, or any reaction from the Congress big leaders. That's also an extremely surprising, but that has been the relations between NCP, especially Pawar family, and Congress of late. And that's why Mr. Pawar was very quick to say that it's not a sabotage. This is not sabotage. Don't bring politics into it. When Samajwadi Party and Mamta Banerjee spoke untimely about such things, there's no base at this point of time.
Absolutely. When we talk about the politics that's broken out over this as well, we also have to talk about the legacy, the enduring legacy of Ajit Pawar, whether it's as a strategist, as an administrator, his work for the people. That is something a lot of the experts who've been joining us for more discussions on this have shared their personal anecdotes also. That being said, what would you think would be his lasting legacy going forward?
In a big way, this loss will be felt in Maharashtra politics for a very, very long time. Most importantly, I feel very sad for his mother also, who lost her husband at a young age, and now she has to see the funeral of her able son. Now it's a great loss for our family. It's a great loss for Baramati. I was talking to some of the former chief secretaries. They condone by saying that this is one of the biggest loss of a professional and wonderful relationship he had developed with the bureaucracy, how to get the things done. It's also a loss to the moderate face of the right-winger of government at this point of time. It's a loss to the someone who was extremely insistent about the financial discipline and being prepared. And I don't see anybody carrying this matter at this point of time in the family or in the party. And that's the bigger loss. I would say that it was never allowed or it never happened to have second rung of leadership coming to the level where you can hand over the baton to somebody. Of course, people like Dada are very difficult to, follow the path with the kind of lately he was changing, and we discussed it over a cup of tea a couple of times, that how he has changed in his current politics, his wit, his presence of mind, his more approachability. All this was very well crafted by him. Very difficult, I would say, at this point of time to imagine who would replace him in Maharashtra politics.
Right. Also joining me right now is Mr. Rohit Chandwarkar. Thank you so much for joining me. Of course, we are talking about the legacy of Mr. Ajit Pawar when we talk about all the people who have joined his final journey across political spectrum as well. The condolences and the tributes that have been pouring in. We've heard various anecdotes of how he was really truly a mentor for people, anyone who ever reached out for help. And it's really the people that he was working for. His work ethic is something that comes up in conversations all the time. What would you like to say to that?
No, I think the pictures, the visuals that you're playing right now speak for themselves more than anything else. And I keep saying that it's not easy to sustain this kind of popularity over 3-4 decades, maybe 4 decades of work. And maybe there have been controversies, there have been things that there have been allegations or whatever. But Ajit Pawar survived through all of that and emerged as a survivor, political survivor. One thing you can observe is there might be a Congress government in Maharashtra, there might be a BJP government in Maharashtra, there might be a Shiv Sena chief minister like Eknath Shinde. In all of those situations, you had a political survivor like Ajit Pawar being in the cabinet and doing what he could do for his constituency and Western Maharashtra and his people. And he kept saying that he wants to be in the cabinet, be in the government because that's the only way he can get funds for his people and development projects and all of that. One thing that many people keep asking is about how he could switch sides from the Maha Vikas Aghadi or the UPA side to the Mahayuti or the Saffron side. So his answer to that was that he continues to be on the path of Phule Shahu Ambedkar, as it is called in Maharashtra, which is the modest, progressive uh, politics path, and kept convincing the voters that he would not deviate from his values, his political ideology, though he had to sit with the BJP in Maharashtra government. His relations with the Congress party were, a little strained at some stage over, his control for the Pune Municipal Corporation, for instance. He had a tough rivalry with Congress leader Suresh Kalmadi, former union minister and member of parliament from Pune, who recently passed away. So that tussle is also very well known to Maharashtra and Pune and Western Maharashtra particularly. But all through that, Ajit Pawar survived and remained, a uh, uh, popular and firm leader who could continue in the government no matter which side came to power, Mahavikas Aghadi or Mahayuti. The crowds that you see here are very emotional right now, and that is not any artificial, any contrived kind of emotion or situation. It is completely natural, and that itself shows how he was very much rooted in his rural politics. People from not just Baramati but surrounding areas of Pune district and perhaps from other parts of Western Maharashtra like Satara, Kolhapur, they have also come and they're sitting there overnight for this funeral that is happening this morning. And only shows how rooted Ajit Pawar was and how grounded he was in his entire political career of 3 or 4 decades since 1990. That's what the pictures show right now.
Said, of course, as political parties, at least for the most part, appear to be united in, of course, joining this final journey of Ajit Pawar and putting forth their sincerest condolences. There are some who are floating certain conspiracy theories, which at this point one would assess is not just insensitive but also irresponsible.
I think it is totally irresponsible for any political party or leaders to talk about, the sabotage angle in what happened yesterday, because it is very clear that the CCTV. It is a fact that this aircraft is, 14, 15-year-old aircraft, and it had some technical snags reported earlier also. Secondly, the aircraft attempted landing first at about 8:40 a.m. and it could not make a smooth touchdown, and it had to go around. It had to, take off again and kind of go around. What we call in aviation is a go around procedure. And on second attempt, it tried to land and it crashed, which means the first attempt, second attempt shows that there was some technical snag or error in the aircraft, in the machinery, and nothing to do with somebody planting something or somebody fixing something or whatever. Secondly, the CCTV footage that came towards the end of the day yesterday, which was played on your channel also, I think, shows that the aircraft suddenly tilted on its left side just before landing, just before reaching the runway. And that tilt shows that there was perhaps an engine malfunction or landing gear deployment malfunction. If the landing gear, the main landing gear has two sides, and if only one side gets deployed, then there can be this kind of tilt. And the Bombardier jet that was yesterday deployed for this flight has reported some kind of landing gear issues throughout in the last many years. So there is no scope for any sabotage or any such thing. And it is really irresponsible for some leaders to bring in that angle on social media and create a controversy or whatever. But I think that has been put behind now. And, senior NCP patriarch Sharad Pawar himself gave a clarification late in the day yesterday that this is purely an accident and there is no act of sabotage or any such thing. That kind of settled things, I think. And today we are witnessing, this emotional event here, a very fateful day for the Pawar family. And we just our prayers with them, and we should just now, I think, maintain some silence and watch, these very emotional visuals.
इत्केला सत जत्सनवत पूरुकम्
कुणीही जागा सोडू नका. मानवंदना होईल, शोकशस्त्र होईल.
ते शरीराणि माचिवप
हवेत 3 वेळा फायर करून बंदुकीची सलामी दिली जाते. अखेरची मानवंदना. शांततेत आपण उभं राहावं, सगळ्यांना नम्र विनंती. ही अखेरची मानवंदना, आपल्या लाडक्या नेत्याला अखेरची सलामी आपण सर्वांनी दिलेली आहे. जिथे आहात तिथे जागेवरूनच आपण अंत्यदर्शन घेऊन मागच्या गेटने
हळूहळू बाहेर पडणार आहात, माझी विनंती आहे.
पुढे येण्याचा प्रयत्न प्लीज आपण करू नका, सगळ्यांना नम्रपूर्वक विनंती आहे.
नद्यानो देजानामेव स्याशुकुबेराः प्रप्रदातारन्दारिव ऊर्जन्नो देहित्वे पादे चातुखपादे.
पुढच्या बाजूला येण्याचा प्रयत्न कृपया कोणी करू नका, सगळ्यांना नम्र विनंती आहे. मागच्या बाजूला
रक्षातो काम तत्मना.
मागच्या बाजूला गेट
आहे, त्या मागच्याच बाजूने हळूहळू आपण बाहेर पडूया. बाहेर प्रचंड गर्दी आहे, खूप गर्दी आहे. हळूहळू मागच्या बाजूने बाहेर पडा. सर्वांना नम्रपूर्वक आवाहन करण्यात येत आहे, पुढे येण्याचा प्रयत्न आपण करू नका. पोलीस विभागाला
सहकार्य करूया. मला माहिती आहे या जागेवरून आपले पाय निघायला तयार नाहीये. आपल्या सगळ्यांचं अतोनात न भरून येणारं नुकसान या ठिकाणी झालेलं आहे.
खर तर आपल्या सर्वांची शांतता आणि शिस्त आदरणीय दादांना खरी श्रद्धांजली असणार आहे. मागच्या बाजूने हळूहळू बाहेर पडा. आपली शिस्त, आपला संयम, आदरणीय दादांकडून घेतलेले आपण हे गुण आपल्या सगळ्यांना नम्रपूर्वक विनंती आहे, शांतता आणि शिस्त पाळूया. मागच्या बाजूने हळूहळू बाहेर पडा.
सर्वांनी
स्वतःच्या मागच्या बाजूला मोठं गेट आहे, तिथून हळूहळू बाहेर पडूया.
All right, there Maharashtra saying its final goodbye to Ajit Pawar after he was killed in a tragic plane crash on Wednesday in Pune's Baramati. There you can see the crowd that's gathered here. The last rites have now been completed. There all the family members gathered there. We saw the last rites being carried out by his son a few moments ago. This was after he was killed in a tragic plane crash on Wednesday morning in Pune's Baramati. The last rites of Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister and NCP Chief Ajit Pawar completed now in his political stronghold Baramati with full state honours. The plane, as you know, carried 5 people: Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar, his personal security officer, flight attendant, pilot in command and second in command. And these were the last rites which were just performed a few moments ago. All the people of Baramati, his constituency, they're gathered to pay their final tribute to Ajit Pawar. And with that, we're going to slip into a short break. Don't go anywhere. The news and updates will continue on the other side on CNN News 18. Stay tuned.
Before February 1, the hard questions Can India sustain growth surge in an uncertain world? Here, India's sharpest takes, reading the budget as it's written. Here, India's leading analysts, what the budget can and cannot fix. Budget 2026, Reforms Reloaded. Only on CNN News 18. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
And Mayuresh, both you and Yesha are at the Kativeri farmhouse of
अतरम उपतिष्ठतु अतरम उपतिष्ठतु अतरम उपतिष्ठतु अतरम उपतिष्ठतु अतरम उपतिष्ठतु गंधम उपतिष्ठतु गंधम उपतिष्ठतु गंधम उपतिष्ठतु तिलाक्षदान उपतिष्ठतु तिलाक्षदान उपतिष्ठतु तिलाक्षदान उपतिष्ठतु पुष्पम उपतिष्ठतु पुष्पम उपतिष्ठतु पुष्पम उपतिष्ठतु धूपम उपतिष्ठतु धूपम उपतिष्ठतु नैवेद्यम उपतिष्ठतु फलताम्बूलम उपतिष्ठतु अनादिनिधनो देव शंख चक्र गदाधर अक्षय पुंडरीकाक्ष प्रेतमोक्ष प्रदो भव अकरन् कर्म कर्म कृताः सहत्वाचामयो भुवा देवेभ्यः कर्म कृत्वा स्तं प्रेतस च भुवाः पूर्वाधिष्ठातृदेवतेभ्यो नमः त्रातारमिन्द्रमवितारमिन्द्रको हवे हवे सुहवको शूरमिन्द्रं भयामि शक्रं पुरुहूतमिन्द्रको मघवाधात्विन्द्रः ओम दक्षिण अधिष्ठात्री प्रेत मातृदेवताभ्यो नमः पश्चिम अधिष्ठात्री प्रेत मातृदेवताभ्यो नमः उत्तरे प्रेत अधिष्ठात्री प्रेत मातृदेवताभ्यो नमः सकलोपचारार्थे गन्धाद्युपचारैः सम्पूज्य ओम अग्नये स्वाहा इदमग्नये नमः कामाय स्वाहा इदं कामाय नमः लोकाय स्वाहा लोकाय नमः अनुमतये स्वाहा इदं अनुमतये नमः प्रेताय स्वाहा प्रेताय नमः ओम पिंडोपरि ओम आनेन अग्निदेवताः प्रियतां नमः
नमः असौ स्वर्गाय लोकाय स्वाहा प्रेताय स्वाहा इदं प्रेताय नमः
ड्रोन प्लीज खाली घ्यायचे ड्रोन पोलीस विभागाची सूचना ड्रोन खाली घ्या
Welcome back to CNN News 18. Thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Hem Korsara, and here's a look at what we're tracking for you right now. Now, amid speculations of Shashi Tharoor being upset with Rahul Gandhi, we're given to understand that the Congress MP is meeting Rahul Gandhi and Mallikarjun Kharge in the parliament. From what we do know right now, that this meeting has been underway for about the past half an hour or so. Congress MP Shashi Tharoor meeting Rahul Gandhi and Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge in the parliament at his office. This meeting has been underway for over half an hour or so. This amid reports that he perhaps was miffed with Rahul Gandhi, and amid speculation over him being upset with Rahul Gandhi, Congress MP Shashi Tharoor is meeting Rahul Gandhi and Mallikarjun Kharge in Parliament right now. We're given to understand more details of this meeting will be clear only as and when we have more developments and more details of this meeting. But this meeting is important to note, comes amid all the speculation regarding Shashi Tharoor perhaps being upset with Rahul Gandhi. For more on this, we have Pallavi Ghosh live with us. Pallavi, thank you so much for joining me. Of course, there have been a lot of speculation regarding Shashi Tharoor being upset with Rahul Gandhi. This meeting that we're hearing of in the parliament, it's been underway for about half an hour or so.
That's right. In fact, there have been 4 earlier occasions when Shashi Tharoor has tried to fix up a meeting with both Rahul Gandhi as well as with Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge, but that meeting has not met with any success. Instead, now what they have decided is finally after those 4 attempted at meetings, they have decided and they have met up. And even as we speak, the meeting is going on. It's one-on-one between Shashi Tharoor on one side, Rahul Gandhi and Mr. Kharge on the other side. What is very significant is the absence of the General Secretary in charge, K.C. Venugopal, who also comes in from Kerala and who also has been facing a bit of a tug of if I can say so, with Shashi Tharoor. Tharoor's grievances there that despite the fact that he's speaking about the nation on multiple issues, he's never really broken away from the party line. Yet he has been sidelined by the party. He has never been given that opportunity to, kind of mix around in within the party. And his recent complaint was actually at the panchayat when Rahul Gandhi allegedly has rebuffed him and also completely ignored him. I think it is that meeting, which is this meeting essentially came, where they're going to try and sort it out and to ensure that things are worked out between both the sides. Kerala elections is a do or die battle for the Congress party. It cannot afford to lose. Tharoor comes in from the Nayar community. Apart from that, Tharoor is someone who is from Thiruvananthapuram. And, in that assembly segment, the UDF, led by the Congress party, has only one of the 14 seats. And that is one reason why it is important for the Congress party to co-opt.
Right. Well, of course, Pallavi, will wait and watch for what comes out of this meeting, and for more details that come out from this also. We'll continue to keep a track on that. Let's shift our focus for now. Now, days after Vijay ruled out any alliance with the DMK or the BJP, actor and TVK chief Vijay's father, S. Chandrasekhar, has hinted at a major political development in Tamil Nadu by saying that the TVK is considering extending support to Congress in the upcoming assembly elections. Vijay's father hinted at a possible alliance between the TVK and the Congress. He said Congress has a history and a legacy. Congress fought for independence and is a party that is now declining. However, TVK sources indicate that the party is likely to go solo. TVK chief Vijay plans to have 5 meetings, both public meetings and rallies, and cover 5 zones ahead of the polls. The developments in the state raises certain questions. Of course, is the Congress-DMK rift further widening? That's something that remains to be seen. Listen to this though.
இந்த காங்கிரஸ்க்குன்னு ஒரு சரித்திரம் இருக்கு, பாரம்பரியம் இருக்கு, ஒரு வரலாறு இருக்கு. காங்கிரஸ் என்னன்னு உங்களுக்கு முதல்ல தெரியுமா? தெரியுமான்னு அதுக்கு கூட பதில் சொல்ல மாட்டேங்க. அந்த ஓரளவுக்கு என்ன தெரியும்? இல்லப்பா தம்பி கேக்குறேம்மா, தைரியமா சொல்லுங்கன்ற. சொல்லுங்க. சுதந்திரத்துக்காக போராடினவங்களா? அப்படியாப்பட்ட ஒரு வரலாறு இருக்கிற கட்சி இன்னைக்கு தேஞ்சு போச்சு. பவர் இல்ல. ஏதோ ஒரு கட்சிக்கு ஆதரவு கொடுத்து இதுக்கு தேஞ்சு போய்கிட்டே இருக்கிறாங்க. அந்த ஒரு பவரை நாங்க கொடுக்கிறோம். நாங்க இல்ல, விஜய் அவர்கள் கொடுக்கிறேன்ற அந்த பவருக்கு நீங்க வந்தீங்கன்னா காங்கிரஸ் மறுபடியும் அந்த வரலாறை தக்க வச்சுக்கணும்.
All right, and after that particular statement by Vijay's father, that DMK has reacted after Vijay's father's bombshell, saying that Vijay's father may say whatever he may want to. Congress and the DMK alliance is in fact intact, and our leader, Congress Tamil President and National President Rahul Gandhi are all with us. So there a reaction by the DMK as well, pretty much a snub there after Vijay's father's statement, who had earlier spoken on the fact that Vijay decided to go solo, saying that he hinted at a major political development, saying that the TVK is considering extending support to Congress in the upcoming assembly elections. He hinted at a possible alliance between TVK and the Congress as well, post which the DMK has now reacted. They say that their alliance, the DMK and the Congress alliance, remains intact and their leaders are with them. Listen to this.
How does the DMK view this statement coming in from Vijay's father?
Oh, he wants Congress to come back to power, which means he says that Vijay cannot come to power. That is one statement, and he wants a bigger party to come with him, because as of now he has no other alliance. So his father thinks that without any alliance Vijay cannot come. That is what this shows. Beyond that, it has no message. Congress had joined their other, in Karnataka, Congress had joined with some other party and came to power. In many of the states, Congress had joined the local parties but failed. See, a party has to build itself. Here the DMK alliance, this alliance, DMK's alliance, has been winning elections continuously because of the performance of the government. The government has performed well, people are with us. As of now, the government can boast of many good things which has done to the people of Tamil Nadu, and people are aware of it. That is why people are with us. They will continue to be with us.
As far as the alliance goes, DMK Congress alliance is very much intact despite
As
these
of now,
states.
there is it is Vijay's father. It is somebody else talking, but the Congress officially, neither the state president nor the national president nor Rahul Gandhi had stated that we are not with DMK or we have other ideas. They have not said that. Some people within the Congress, due to their local infighting, they may talk anything. That we are not bothered.
For more on this, we have Purnima live with us. Purnima, thank you so much for joining me. Of course, there is a statement by Vijay's father also, and the DMK has now reacted to it. What can you tell us?
Well, yesterday, DMK leader Kanimuri met Congress leader Rahul Gandhi in the national capital. Sources from DMK say that yes, they did have a few issues to sort out. It was a cordial meeting. They sorted out a few issues. Considering the statements that we've heard from Congress, several leaders not really happy with the alliance, where they are just focusing on sharing of seats and not sharing of power. But at the moment, both DMK sources as well as Congress Tamil Nadu sources say that the alliance is intact. TK Silungovan also says that DMK Congress alliance will continue for 2026 elections because this is what Rahul Gandhi, Congress national president, Congress Tamil Nadu president, and the DMK leader and president M.K. Stalin believe. However, interesting, at the time when there were speculations about Congress and TVK alliance, Vijay's father now saying that if Congress accepts Vijay's invitation, then they will come back to power. That, in fact, hasn't gone down well with the DMK and the Congress as well, because right now they are trying to say that the alliance is intact. TVK also says that it's Vijay's father's personal opinion, and they will not make any comments on the statement made by Vijay's father. For now, they say any party that accepts Vijay as a CM candidate can join hands with the TVK. But looks like it's going to be a tri-corner contest in Tamil Nadu, with Vijay likely to go solo.
All right, Purnima, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on that. Now, TVK chief Vijay on the 25th of January ruled out any sort of an alliance, and what we are seeing right now is the aftermath of that. Now, the legal battle over... All right, let's shift our focus for now. Pardon me. We are getting you more updates on the economic survey as well. Of course, as you know, we are looking ahead at the budget for the financial year 2026 to 2027. There will be big developments on that front as well. Let's take a look. All right, so a legal battle over Sanjay Kapoor's estate. All the developments there that we're tracking for you. Delhi High Court has issued summons to Priya Sachdev Kapoor in the fresh suit filed by Rani Kapoor. The High Court has also issued notice on application for interim stay. The High Court says it has granted an opportunity to Priya Kapoor and other respondents to file a response to the application. For more on this, we have Ananya live with us. Ananya, thank you so much for joining us. What can you tell us?
Well, absolutely. In fact, the Delhi High Court has today issued summons to Priya Sachdev Kapoor and other respondents, as well as this fresh suit that's been filed by Rani Kapoor is concerned. Remember, that this case stems from, in fact, the 30,000 crore of estates that was left behind by late business tycoon Mr. Sanjay Kapoor. And there have been allegations against his wife for manipulating him, as far as the suit is concerned, of manipulating him into transferring all of the assets so that Priya Kapoor Sajdev can actually take over the control of this whole business. Now, the court has issued summons on, in fact, a suit that's been filed by Rani Kapoor, wherein she alleges that the Rani Kapoor Family Trust, which is in her name, is completely null and void because there have been changes made to that trust after she was made to sign false documents, and she was locked in a room, and these documents were actually signed, and completely this was a criminal conspiracy that was hatched by none other than her own daughter-in-law and Sanjay Kapoor's third wife, that is Priya Sajdev Kapoor. So clearly this battle has entered another legal mode, and yet another legal battle has begun. Remember that there's already a suit pending as far as Karishma Kapoor's children are concerned, seeking their share in the assets of Mr. Sanjay Kapoor, while on the other hand Priya Sajdev Kapoor has filed a defamation case against Mandira, who is in fact the sister of Sanjay Kapoor. So very clearly this legal battles, this multi-pronged legal battle has re-exploded with Rani Kapoor knocking the doors of the Delhi High Court. Summons have been issued to Priya Kapoor Sajdev and other respondents in this particular matter, though a status quo order has not yet been given, but the court would be considering the interim directions, and a reply needs to be filed on the same as well.
Absolutely, Ananya. Of course, that being said, going forward, what can we expect?
Going forward, something that we can expect, and that is for sure, is a lot of drama that would be unfolding. It is a complete Saas Bahu saga that has exploded before the Delhi High Court, and very clearly at this particular point of time, Priya Sajdev Kapoor and other respondents would be filing their responses to the application for interim directions or interim status quo being given out on, in fact, the Rani Kapoor Family Trust, because Rani Kapoor has clearly alleged that this trust was fraudulently changed, and she was dispossessed of her assets from which was built by her husband, Mr. Surinder Kapoor, and was carried forward by her own son, Mr. Sanjay Kapoor.
All right, Ananya, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on this. Now, as I was mentioning earlier, shifting our focus right now, the economic survey has been tabled in the Lok Sabha. Economic Survey 2026 pegs financial year 2027 growth at 6.8 to 7.2%. India's recent economic performance has demonstrated that macroeconomic stability and growth can be sustained even in a turbulent global environment. This is the latest that we're getting for you right now. This is as the economic survey has been tabled in the Lok Sabha, which pegs the growth for financial year 2027 at 6.8 to 7.2%. India's recent economic performance has demonstrated that macroeconomic stability and growth can be sustained even in a turbulent global environment. And that's the latest that we are bringing for you right now. On this, we have Pallavi Ghosh live with us. Pallavi, thank you so much for joining me. What can you tell us?
See, the main crux and the conclusion of the economic survey, which was tabled by the finance minister both in Lok Sabha as well as in Rajya Sabha Haim, is the fact that India's growth story is definitely moving ahead. And this despite the fact that there are many factors of external factors of global uncertainty. The report does make a reference to the point that there are trade uncertainties going on with America, but it is also very hopeful that this is something which could be sorted out soon, and therefore all is going to be very well. It's very important when they are talking about the main barometers. How do you decide on the economic growth story when you put it into a part of your economic survey? What has been the growth in the manufacturing sector, in the agrarian sector? In all of that, the survey gives green boxes and green tick marks, which essentially points out that there has been a growth as far as the industrial sector is concerned. Just to quote very quickly, the industrial sector continues to display a strong momentum despite an evolving and challenging global environment. It also talks about major traction which has taken place under the PLI scheme. The business sentiment, the corporate sentiment is gung-ho because they are very buoyed by many of the feel-good policies which have been announced by the government. The survey, of course, has been presented just a couple of days after the EU-India FTA has been signed. But it is these FTAs which the survey talks about. Many of the others which have been signed, Haim gives the economic survey a hope that it will be reflected in India's economic growth story. It also talks about that the global economy is marked by a supply chain realignment, but all of this is something which is showing a positive curve up as far as India is concerned. However, it does raise concerns about that there needs to be more incentives for domestic engines of growth. That means there has to be more help which has to come in for the MSMEs, the small sectors. I think this is a very, very important indication coming in from the economic survey that possibly the union budget is looking at giving incentive as far as these sectors are concerned.
Right, Pallavi, thank you so much. Also joining me is Shweta Puj. Thank you so much for joining me there. The growth for financial year 2027 pegged at 6.8 and 7.2%. Now we know that India's recent performance has also demonstrated that macroeconomic stability and growth can be sustained. India there has proven to be a reliable growth engine. What can you tell us?
Right. So true to the CA's signature style of this survey as well, has a more cautious approach towards what the economy could grow at. Having said that, I think some of the most significant things that he's highlighted in the survey. One is that he's spoken about how India needs to move from import a substitution to strategic resilience and strategic indispensability. He's spoken about why India needs to employ what he calls as economic statecraft, which is different from economic policy. He's talking about how India needs to use its tools to ensure that India is as valuable a player and has something significant to offer to the world to be integrated into the global supply chain. So I think that's quite interesting. That's something new that we've seen in this survey. He talks about from Swadeshi to strategic resilience and strategic indispensability. Then, if you look at the past surveys done by Mr. Nageswaran, he's been fairly cautious. He's taken a very cautious view on AI. But in this survey, he talks about the evolution of the AI ecosystem in India, and he talks about why we need a phased roadmap for AI's future. He's also interestingly taken up the issue of making our cities work for people. He's spoken about why India needs to upgrade its governance. Again, that's a theme that's been very rooted in Mr. Nageswaran's economics and economic surveys over the years. He's always spoken about governance and nuts and bolts governance and how reforms need to be implemented at a faster pace to power India's growth. So that's something again that we see in this survey as well as an overarching theme. And he also flags the skilling issue in India. He talks about getting skilling right and how that's important. While we have a demographic dividend, he has a full chapter devoted to employment and skill development. Then he's also spoken about the need to integrate with the globe, and he's spoken about agricultural performance, food management, and overall he's spoken about as the world becomes protectionist, as the global trade dynamics change, India needs to look inwards. India needs to build its own capabilities. I think that's a very, very important theme coming in from the survey. And overall, the picture that we see of the Indian economy through the survey is quite heartening. He does talk about that India has shown immense resilience, driven and anchored in domestic demand. I think that's very, very important that he's shown, at a time when there's so much geopolitical uncertainty coming from the CEA, that India has shown resilience, and he has also revised his medium-term growth forecast. I think all of those are very important indications to show that India has done well so far, but he's also flagged the issue of why India needs to, like I said, use economic statecraft. I think that's one of the key themes coming out from this survey.
Absolutely. Now, Shweta, on that, if I could just expand a little, when you mention protectionism, especially when we're seeing such a rising global trade uncertainty and US protectionism, that is something that has been in the talks for quite some time right now. That being said, how do you think India is securing its place as a reliable partner? Of course, it's been good news for us, the India-EU FTA, and in line of that, India has really strengthened its global position as a reliable partner.
Right. So, in the last year and a half, if you see, India has concluded several free trade agreements, not only with the EU, but even with UK, Australia, New Zealand. So, that has been India's strategy to diversify, and India EU FTA has been called as the mother of all deals because it has the capacity to absorb a lot of the exports that India was sending to the US. It can be absorbed by Europe. So that in itself is very, very significant. Another thing that the survey highlights is India's infrastructure and digital infrastructure. That again has been cited as one of the key growth drivers for the India story. The survey talks about growth in telephone connections and how they've outpaced urban growth. I think that's again very, very significant. And we've also seen he's spoken about uh, while the rupee, we see the rupee weakening, but he talks about that, how a robust and a stable currency can be achieved through export competitiveness. Again, that I think is very, very significant.
All right, we have Pallavi live with us also. Pallavi, in light of all the global uncertainty and US protectionism that we're seeing right now, what are some of the things that you're going to be looking out for?
See, him, it's a mix of caution, as Shweta was pointing out, but it's also a mix of hope and caution, I would say, as far as the economic survey report is concerned, which has been put forward by the chief economic advisor. It talks about certain things which India needs to do. And one of them, of course, is it talks about increasingly entrepreneurial attitude of the government, which means the government needs to be very, very proactive. When the Prime Minister was addressing the media this morning, he was essentially talking about how India is moving towards the concept of Viksit Bharat 2047. He spoke about the fact that how the government believes in finding a solution to the problems, not just listing the problems. When we talk about entrepreneurial approach, and the economic survey makes a reference to that, it also clarifies that it does not mean that we're going to put a focus only on the private sector. We want both the sides. They're human, and this again something which the PM touched upon. That when you're talking about progress, when you're talking about reforms, it also has to be human-centric. Now, this is critical because India is a largely not just an agrarian economy, but also is a labor-intensive economy. And focus is going to be on job generation. That is going to be also the focus as far as the union budget to be presented on first is concerned. So it talks about an entrepreneurial approach, which means it's a reforms, perform, progress, which the Prime Minister spoke about. It has to be kind of more, directed towards generation, not just of generation of manufacturing, industrial growth, and growth stories, reform stories, and more. Another interesting part, quickly, him is that the survey also talks about deregulation, and this is going to be a very important element as far as the union budget is concerned, which is what my finance ministry and government sources have been telling us. So this is going to be the main launchman, and as I said, just to conclude, it is a little cautious. It is aware of the pressures, rising gold prices. It talks about the tariff with America. It also talks about the global uncertainty, but it also talks about the fact that there's a political stability in our country. There's a clear direction coming in from the political leadership, which gives us hope of having at least 7.6 to 7.8% of our growth story or GDP growth story.
All right, Pallavi, thank you so much for the latest on that. Of course, we'll continue to track all developments on that front as well. Let's shift our focus for now. CNN News 18 mega exclusive. Pakistan Defence Minister Khwaja Asif has vowed that Pakistan will take decisive action against the Afghan Taliban, citing their alleged support for the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan and the broader threat of terrorism. While no immediate military action will be taken due to ongoing regional turmoil, he said that Pakistan is keeping both options, kinetic military measures or diplomatic severance, under consideration to be executed at a time of its choosing. He's also highlighted Pakistan's defence's strategic cooperation with Turkey, saying relevant matters are being discussed in parallel and will crystallize soon. The minister has further warned that regional instability, including conflicts in the Middle East, in Africa and threats to Iran, makes the timing critical but stressed that Pakistan will act firmly to protect its security interests. So this is the latest that we're getting for you right now. CNN News 18 mega exclusive that we're bringing for you. Pakistan Defence Minister Khwaja Asif has vowed that Pakistan will take a decisive action against the Afghan Taliban, and he cited their alleged support of the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan and a broader threat of terrorism. While no immediate military action will be taken, we're given to understand, due to the ongoing regional turmoil, Asif has said that Pakistan is keeping both options, kinetic military measures or diplomatic severance, under consideration. So this is what we're given to understand right now. For more on this, we have Anand Narasimhan live with us. Thank you so much for joining me, Anand. What can you tell us?
Well, one of the aspects is that there seems to be some kind of cooperation between Pakistan and Turkey, and that strategic pact seems to have emboldened the Pakistani military to try and talk about taking huge actions against the Afghan Taliban. Now, whether or not will they be able to do it, or whether they'll be able to mount a fierce offensive, we'll have to see. Or this is nothing but a lot of braggadocio coming from the Pak Defence Minister, because Pakistan right now is stretched under multiple ends. Now, there is the near threat of what will happen in neighboring Iran and a possible spillover in Balochistan. Pakistan is stretched in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa region, and of course has the Afghan issue. They are stretched in the CPEC region because the Chinese are very well upset. Plus, they have also got the eastern borders to worry about with Bharat, where clearly there is a certain level of restive energy among the Bharatiya forces, the kind of true, jihadi build-up or the training camps that are resurfacing. So, in such a situation, will Pakistan be able to take some direct military action against Afghanistan, and will the Americans let them do it? We'll have to wait and watch. But as of now, there is a lot of talk, and whether or not will Pakistan walk the talk, we'll have to wait and watch. But clearly, the Pakistan that claimed to have championed the cause of Taliban and allowed them passage into power in Afghanistan, the wedge is now driven so deep that they're willing to attack them.
Absolutely, Anand. Thank you so much for bringing us your insights on this. Also, of course, from what we're given to understand at this point, he's highlighted some sort of a defense and strategic cooperation with Turkey, as Anand mentioned as well. Whether or not they walk the talk, that is something that remains to be seen, and what will be the further ramifications of this. With that, we're going to call it a wrap on this edition of the News Bulletin. News and updates will continue on the other side.
Hello and welcome, and thank you so much for staying with CNN News 18. I'm Riha Atul. We begin the broadcast with some breaking news as a hearing is currently underway before the Supreme Court over the UGC equity norms, and that has now begun before the Apex Court. The Supreme Court has said that after 75 years, whatever we've gained in terms of achieving a casteless society, are we doing it in a regressive direction? This is a key question that's been raised while the hearing is underway before the Supreme Court. Even as the Supreme Court is agreed to hear the petitions, in fact, challenging parts of the regulations that the UGC has announced, the draft regulations on equity, the guidelines 2026, that's a tweaked version of the 2012 guidelines. The Supreme Court has, in fact, also raised the all-important question that whatever we have gained in terms of 75 years of achieving what it is termed to be a casteless society, are we in fact going in the opposite direction and becoming regressive? My colleague Ananya Bhatnagar with all of the details coming in from the Apex Court. Ananya, even as the opposition against the new version of the equity guidelines of UGC really continues from various campuses majorly across North India, we see this sort of an observation that is coming in from the Supreme Court, even as the hearing has just about begun. More details of what you see emerge out of the Supreme Court today.
Well, absolutely, but I'd like to take you first, Griha, to the latest observation that has been made by the Chief Justice of India, and very clearly he goes on to say that, sorry to say that the regulations prima facie are vague, prone to misuse, and the language used is completely vague. So definitely there is some kind of observation coming in from the Supreme Court, calling these new directives, these new guidelines of the UGC to be completely vague in nature. Definitely, there could be some kind of adverse order as far as things are concerned, could come in from the topmost court of the country, though it is just the first hearing, even notice has not been issued. But such kind of observations coming in from the top court is something that makes it very, very clear as to what the Supreme Court feels about these guidelines. And it is not ordinary judge of the Supreme Court, but in fact the Chief Justice of India himself who has made these observations. So very clearly the intent of the topmost court of the country is very, very clear, that these are very vague guidelines that have come in from the University Grants Commission, and clearly, there is some kind of an order that could actually come in from the topmost court of the country itself. The hearing still continues, though.
Right, absolutely. But isn't this because of a Supreme Court intervention that came in the wake of the petitions that were filed by Rohit Vemula and, in fact, Payal Tadvi's mothers? And now something that the Supreme Court seems to be observing, talking about the vagueness of the new tweaked provisions as far as these guidelines are concerned. Clearly, this will maybe look, we possibly could be looking at a rollback, because both these versions are coming in from the apex court, Ananya, where on the one side, the Supreme Court is questioning whether or not we are going in a regressive or backward direction. At the same time, they're also calling the newer version of this draft regulation rather vague.
Well, these are exactly the same observations, because the Supreme Court is saying that, with these directives coming in, are we going back to a regressive, play? Because it is after 75 years of independence, and that is exactly what the Supreme Court is saying, that after 75 years of independence, we were to think of a casteless society where, the caste was no bar. But such directives coming in is something, that is pushing us back to a regressive society, is what, in fact, the topmost court of the country is saying. And now also saying that, this whole directive is somewhere or the other vague in nature. Various observations being made. The Supreme Court is of the view of making a committee in order to study these guidelines, and then, there could be, in fact, some kind of order that could be passed. But at this particular point of time, the intent of the topmost court of the country is very, very clear, that, these are guidelines that are vague in nature. The language is vague, and they can be easily be misused, is what the topmost court of the country has had to say.
When the first time the Supreme Court had mentioned that at the cost of all of these cases, whether it is Rohit Vemula or Payal Tadvi, there cannot be a mere lip service that can be granted to the marginalized members of the society. And now talking about whether or not this goes against what we look forward to as making a casteless India. Which way do you see this headed now, particularly from today's hearing, Ananya, now that these counter petitions are before the apex court?
Well, absolutely. There are various petitions, over 20 petitions that have been filed before the topmost court of the country, including the ones by, Vishnu Shankar Jain, Vineet Jindal, and various other people who, some question that, this is a kind of a directive that excludes the general class. It can be easily misused, and that's exactly what the topmost court of the country is also saying, that, these are directives that could actually be misused, and it's taking us to a regressive society where, caste is something that becomes very, very important. But here, the Supreme Court feels that, we are into over 75 years of independence, and we have to go towards a casteless society. But here we are before a regressive one, coming in with these kind of directives being pushed, and these kinds of, diktats being issued by the UGC itself.
Well, absolutely. Very important update that Ananya is bringing for our viewers. First of all, the Chief Justice of India goes on to observe that the rules that have been defined as part of this tweaked guideline, these regulations that are part of the 2026 guidelines by the UGC are rather vague. They are prone to misuse. That is pretty much in line with the arguments that very many of the people, particularly members of the upper class of the students, have been making as part of the protests that we see happening around in various universities and higher educational institutes in the country. And now the Supreme Court is going on to ask that very question, that why is it rather vague? And it is in fact prone to misuse. It is a question that the Supreme Court has put forth, even as it looks at these very many of the petitions against these new tweaked guidelines by the UGC. Ananya, do stay on with us. We have Mr. Deshratan Nigam, who is joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Nigam, how do you see the developments that are now coming out of the Supreme Court as the apex court is looking at the counter petitions for the new UGC guidelines?
Well, the new UGC guidelines that were framed recently, and the issue out there, it was badly drafted. When they say that discrimination should not be there, then they say particularly against. The word uses particularly, although it was said to be general against anybody, but writing particularly against SC, ST and OBC, that was probably a very badly drafted thing. I don't know. It would be attention of the minister, the secretary of the department, and everybody. Whether it was deliberate or not, it's a separate issue. But the fact remains, the Supreme Court being the ultimate arbiter of the issues, they are looking into it, and they are, prima facie, they are thinking that it's vague, and it might disrupt campus life and may actually result in disunity within various campuses and largely then affecting India. So
yeah, absolutely. The Supreme Court is mentioning about the dangerous impact that this might have in order to divide society, and these are the observations right now, Mr. Nigam, that are coming out of the court. But talking about the draft version of these guidelines that categorically, allegedly had put out this clause that could punish false complaints, and OBCs were explicitly added under the caste discrimination protection. What do you make of these tweaks, sir?
I think it should have been general. You know, discrimination, I am now noticing that there is a reverse discrimination also in society which is happening. False cases are being, filed against anybody, left, right and center. So the provision will be used against certain castes in the society. Therefore, in order to bring harmony in the society and the unity, it is absolutely necessary that each case should be dealt according to its own merit. Not weaponizing caste. Caste would never be weaponized. So this is what is happening, and therefore if it was a general provision, any discrimination, and yes, you can have an equity committee or guidelines, there is no doubt about it. But you should not make discrimination as if it only happens to a particular caste or group of caste.
Mr. Nigam, I would want your understanding on the comparison. If we make the comparison between the guidelines that were in fact put out in the year 2012, they were primarily advisory in nature. This one in 2026 talks about proper penalties that will be levied against higher educational institutions and universities if they fail to implement the guidelines. So it is more penalty driven.
See, the fact is we have plethora of laws that deal with discrimination. It was, yes, there were discriminations, no doubt, but there are provisions within the laws that deal with it, and you can file complaints. But penalizing it would certainly mean giving a weapon to somebody who may politically misuse it within the campus. Our campuses are very politically vibrant as well. There is a political competition to win elections, and various groups are there, and to weaponize it, I think.
All right. In fact, Mr. Nigam, we are now getting some breaking news from the Supreme Court. Ananya, they are standing by. Ananya, we are learning that the new regulations that tweak will be kept in abeyance. Just tell us more. What has the Supreme Court observed?
Well, absolutely, it's a big order coming in from the topmost court of the country, where the Supreme Court has gone on to stay the directives that have been given out by the UGC in 2026. The equity guidelines of the the University Grants Commission are put in abeyance by the topmost court of the country. Notices have been issued on these petitions, and various remarks coming in from the topmost court of the country clearly saying that this is a poorly worded, a vague a directive that is coming from the UGC. In fact, the topmost court of the country also goes on to say that there is, in fact, we should not go back to a regressive society. We are into 75 years of independence, and we should go for a casteless society. But these kind of diktats are making us to go back to that regressive approach, and that is something that is very concerning, and that's exactly why the topmost court of the country has now gone on to stay these directives. The union has asked to redraft, and in fact the Supreme Court has issued notice on these particular petitions, while putting in fact this whole legislation that has been brought in by the whole diktat that has been brought in by the UGC under abeyance.
Well, absolutely. Mr. Nigam, you heard the big development that's coming out of the Supreme Court. Ananya Bhatnagar, there, our colleague, is standing by from the Supreme Court. He's letting us know that the Supreme Court has in fact stayed these new guidelines by the University's Grants Commission. Your reaction, sir?
Well, I think it's the most appropriate thing to do at this stage, because as I said, it was poorly drafted, it was vague, and therefore, open to misinterpretation by the people who would like to weaponize it. And therefore, they don't define equity, they don't define anything in this, and then make equity committees and things like that. And therefore, I think Supreme Court has rightly gone into it, stayed it, and maybe they might be set aside, being ultra-wise the Constitution, not within the parameters of the Constitution. As the court also pointed out, they want casteless society. That is the aim of our Constitution also. But caste should never be weaponized. And this particular guidelines for weaponizing some people who could misuse it for the purposes of their gain within the campuses, higher education, because those are the times when the people realize about their rights. When they go to education institutions, they realize about the fundamental rights, legal rights. But certainly this was open to misuse, and Supreme Court is right to that extent.
All right, Mr. Deshratan Nigam, thank you so much for joining us. So Supreme Court there staying the UGC Promotion of Equity Regulations 2026 and particularly mentioning about how these provisions are prima facie vague and culpable for misuse. We also have now senior Congress leader Rashid Alvi, who is joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Alvi, thank you so much for joining us. Supreme Court deciding to keep these new regulations by the UGC in abeyance. Your reaction, sir?
Yeah, I welcome. I am told Supreme Court has stayed, and basically Government of India, they are behaving like a dictator. For last 11 years, if they have made laws for the farmers had no option except to go to the Supreme Court. If they have passed any law for the Muslim community, they have no option except to file a case in Supreme Court. So it is happening continuously for last 11 years. And now it is the Supreme Court. People have faith and confidence only in Supreme Court, and I welcome this direction and the decision taken by the Supreme Court. Students are sitting on dharna. Government is playing with the future of the students. They are not bothering for it. So it is very unfortunate, and behavior of government is very objectionable.
When the Supreme Court had stepped in because of the petitions that were filed in 2016 by the mothers of Rohit Vemula and in fact Payal Tadvi, what was the Congress's stance back then, where the Supreme Court had in fact intervened in that matter at that time, because of which there was this tweaking that has finally come out, and now the Supreme Court has gone on to state because of the vagueness of the language, sir?
You know what I'm told, that Supreme Court has issued notice and have passed stay order. So now we should wait for the final decision of the Supreme Court. But when Supreme Court has passed a stay order, it means Supreme Court is going to support the demand of the students of the country. And you know, this government is just playing with the people of this country, sometimes between Hindu, Muslim, sometimes upper caste, lower caste, OBC, and this is the proof of this. And you know, government is going to abolish UGC. If you are going to abolish UGC, what was the urgency to make all such kind of rules?
Okay. Mr. Alvi, thank you so much for joining us and sharing in your views there. Rashid Alvi of the Congress Party, who's joined us. Right now, the big breaking news is that the Supreme Court has stayed these fresh guidelines that have been issued by the University Grants Commission 2026. That stands in abeyance. The union government has been asked to redraft these guidelines. Ananya there with all of these updates from the Supreme Court. Ananya.
Well, absolutely. In fact, it is a big order coming in from the Supreme Court, and it's unusual, Griha, that 142 jurisdiction, the special jurisdiction of the Supreme Court is used in order to pass an order. It's a very extraordinary jurisdiction, and the Supreme Court has now used that jurisdiction to actually put these UGC regulations under an abeyance. And not only that, it has also made various observations as far as these directives are concerned. First of all, calling them completely vague in nature, questioning as to by doing this, are we not proceeding towards a regressive society? We are into 75 years of the independence, and while we should be thinking of a casteless society, by these regulations, are we not going towards a regressive one? In fact, another big remark, Griha, that came in from the Supreme Court, in fact, the Chief Justice of India, Justice Surikant himself, was that do we want to create a situation like USA where white kids actually go to a different school? And that is, how the Supreme Court was, clear about its intent as to, these are guidelines that are completely vague in nature. Notice has been issued, these guidelines have been put into an abeyance, and we'll get to see after, in fact, a few days when this matter comes up before the topmost of the country, as to what is the response that comes in from the union government and various other stakeholders.
Right, absolutely. The ball is now with the union government as it has been asked by the apex court to redraft all these regulations. Let's take a look at certain reactions. But before that, we have Mr. A. Sarvanan of the DMK who's joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Sarvanan, big development coming out of the apex court. That new guideline by the UGC right now kept in abeyance. Still a redraft version will come in from the union government. Your reaction, sir?
It is very unfortunate that the Supreme Court has stayed this. This is one of the protections offered to the SC, ST and the OBC students who were studying in higher educational institutions. If you look at the people who have taken their lives due to harassment, Rohit, Vemula, Payal, Tadvi, Pallavi, Muthukrishnan, all of them were belonging to the oppressed class of Hindus. And this regulation gave them a scintillant protection. What's wrong? What's wrong in this regulation? See, it makes them suspect. It is prone to abuse. Every law is prone to abuse. UAPA is prone to abuse. PMLA is prone to abuse. They say there is a system which will protect you. So follow the system. See, it says don't discriminate. How it is difficult? Please don't discriminate anybody. That is the only thing. So it gives a free hand. Says we will not bring in any legislation which will stop discrimination inside the campuses. Discrimination inside the campuses on the basis of caste is a hard reality. And this UGC regulation took that head on. And we are not surprised by what the BJP government has done. They did not stand up. They did not ensure that this UGC regulation stays on. That is a telling commentary. The BJP says it is a party of the Hindus. But here, there is a legislation which is protecting the oppressed Hindus. But the BJP kept quiet. They did not do anything to ensure that this legislation continues. So now the jury is out.
Well, Mr. Sarvanan, you say that even as the union government, the Bharatiya Janata Party faced a lot of flack from the members of its core vote bank themselves who were really crying foul that this will be a law that will be misused against the general category students. And that is what the Supreme Court today even looked at. And there were some key observations that came out of the Supreme Court when the Supreme Court went on to say that our goal is to achieve a casteless society, but what we are doing through regulations and guidelines like the one that has come out by the UGC 2026 is that we are going in the backward direction. We are making it a regressive society. What do you make of those observations, sir?
No. See, we do not agree to those observations. We want a casteless society. Yes, but are we in a casteless society? When discrimination is based on caste, if you are a non-vegetarian eating Hindu, you will not even get an apartment. We have the president, Mr. Ramnath Kovind. He was not allowed inside Puri Jagannath temple. We had a a president now from the ST tribe. She was not invited for the opening ceremony of the new parliament. This is the stark reality of caste in India. The Supreme Court may wish, but I am saying this is an instrument. This UGC regulation is an instrument for preventing discrimination. What is wrong? What is wrong? See, only if you are going to discriminate somebody, you will come under the radar. Why are you afraid? Are you a discriminator? Why these protests? So, the cat is out of the bag. The BJP is only playing vote bank politics. The BJP claims all the time that it is a party for the protection of Hindus. No, BJP is a party which protects only upper caste Hindus. That is the reality which has come out. The BJP cannot escape this conclusion now. Why the BJP leaders? None of the BJP leaders have spoken. There is a right-wing troll who says, "Stud your shoes with nails."
Let's see what happens now that
Or
the
any
ball
action
is
taken
in
against
the
him?
union government's court. They need to redraft all of these regulations as per the Supreme Court. Let's see the kind of response and the redraft version that will now come about. But Mr. Saravanan, thank you so much for joining us. We have a reaction coming in from the Supreme Court. Vishnu Shankar Jain, who's one of the key petitioners in opposition of these new guidelines that were in fact put out by the UGC. He has reacted to this decision by the Supreme Court. Let's take a look.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जो यूजीसी रेगुलेशंस नए नियम पास किए गए हैं उस पर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने रोक लगाई है, उसको एबियंस में रखा है और सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने अपनी पावर्स को एक्सरसाइज करते हुए अंडर आर्टिकल 142 जो यूजीसी रेगुलेशंस 2012 हैं उनको इन ऑपरेशन किया, उनको प्रभावी किया।
अगला कदम क्या रहेगा, क्योंकि इस पे सुप्रीम कोर्ट की तरफ
अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट केंद्र सरकार को और सारे पक्षकारों को नोटिस जारी किया है और इस मामले की अगली सुनवाई 19 मार्च को निर्धारित की गई।
19 मार्च को क्या कुछ होने की संभावनाएं हैं?
अब ये तो कोई व्यक्ति प्रेडिक्ट नहीं कर सकता है। केंद्र सरकार से जवाब मांगा है, केंद्र सरकार अपना जवाब देगी, फिर मामला आगे बढ़ेगा।
And Ananya continues to be with us on the broadcast. Ananya, the next date of hearing, 19th March. We were just listening to Vishnu Shankar Jain, one of the key petitioners against these new regulations that were put out by the UGC.
Well, absolutely. In fact, Vishnu is somebody, whose petition actually talks about how these UGC guidelines, the new diktat was actually could be misused. It is completely discriminatory to the general category students, and that is exactly what the Supreme Court also felt, that it is a vague direction that has come in from, in fact, the UGC. It is a directive that needs to be stayed at this particular point of time. It's worded poorly, and that's exactly why these guidelines have been put into an abeyance, and the 2012 guidelines would actually continue as far as things are concerned, is what in fact the Supreme Court has so far gone on to say. The new guidelines are have been put into an abeyance, but at this particular point of time it would be very, very crucial to see, Griha, as to how would the central government be responding as far as these guidelines are concerned, because it is the direction of the diktat of the UGC, the promotion of equity guidelines 2026, and now that they have been put into abeyance, whether the central government would concede that it was a vague direction, whether the central government would suggest that we can actually redraft the same, or we can actually come in with a proper version of the same, providing equity to all, is something that would be interesting to see, because a guideline which is named as a regulation of equity guidelines, if that is not providing equity to every class of person, then completely the Supreme Court is very, very clear that it's a vague direction. The Supreme Court very categorically, and it's the Chief Justice of India, Justice Suryakant himself, going on to say, do we want to make ourselves like the USA, where white kids actually go to school? Not only that, he also goes on to say that we are into 75 years of independence, where we dream of a casteless society, but these kind of regulations, would they not put us into a regressive state itself?
Right. The arguments that so far have come before the Apex Court, before this decision of keeping these fresh guidelines in abeyance really came about, Ananya. What were the key arguments and what was the key concern about these fresh guidelines? We do know how the false complaint clause that could have been punishable, that was completely done away with as far as the new guidelines are concerned, and also the addition of OBCs into this entire purview. That was also one of the key areas of grouse. More on that as well.
Well, absolutely. There were, allegations and there were arguments that were raised by various petitioners that, this is a guideline that could be easily be misused because the general category student would never have a grievance mechanism for him, and that's exactly why, it makes it very, very difficult for him. Now, since the OBC would also be included, there would be a lot of problems that could actually arrive. But, unusually, Griha, this was a very, very short hearing that took place wherein less of arguments and more of observations came in from the topmost of the country, because the Supreme Court, it seems, because every judge usually reads his papers before he comes to the court, and definitely there is a kind of a mind that the Supreme Court also made in the very beginning, that it is a direction that is a kind of a vague one, and hence it needs to be put into abeyance. Very clearly, there were some people who were actually opposing a kind of a stay on these guidelines, but the Supreme Court was very clear that these are vague, and every victim should be, preserved. Every victim should have a mechanism. No victim should be left merciless is what the intent of the topmost court of country was, and in fact it was clarified by the Chief Justice of India himself.
Right. As far as the other observations that came about from the Apex Court, Ananya, they did go about and speak about certain other states like Haryana for that matter. There were those examples that were also addressed by the Supreme Court. More on those observations as well, please.
Well, absolutely. Not only Haryana, but in fact, we were talking of the United States as well. I just told you that the Supreme Court made an observation that we want to become like the USA, where, white kids used to go to a different school. And that's exactly what India does not want to promote, because unity shall reflect in our institutions is what the Chief Justice of India, Justice Suryakant, had to say while he was hearing this particular matter. So clearly, the intent of the Supreme Court was very, very clear that A, these guidelines are vague, B, that unity should be reflected in each and every institution that we have in our country. And in 75 years of independence, while we should be dreaming and while we should be creating a casteless society where caste is no bar, these directions can put us back to a regressive state itself.
Well, absolutely. A response now awaited from the central government as a notice has been issued by the Supreme Court to the union government regarding issuing and redrafting these guidelines. We have some more reactions that are coming in as far as this big development from the Apex Court is concerned. Let's take a look.
और 2012 के जो रूल्स हैं उनको दोबारा से लागू कर दिया है। कारण माना है जो हमारा लगातार आर्गुमेंट था सर्वोच्च न्यायालय के सामने के 3C, जिसके अंदर जातिगत भेदभाव की बात की गई थी, उसमें जनरल कास्ट को छोड़कर बाकी सभी कास्ट को उसमें इंक्लूड किया गया था। और कहीं ना कहीं ये दर्शाया जा रहा था कि जनरल कास्ट ही सिर्फ जो है वो टारगेट करती है और कास्ट को, उसको लेकर बहुत चिंता व्यक्त की है। और कहीं ना कहीं जो डिवाइड करने की बात, समानता की हमारा संविधान बात करता है, लेकिन ये रूल रेगुलेशन जो है वो कहीं ना कहीं विद्यार्थियों को डिवाइड करने का जो मामला है उसमें सामने आ रहा है। और ये CJI ने बिल्कुल साफ साफ माना कि रूल रेगुलेशन में कमी है और इसको सोचना और देखना पड़ेगा। इसी को लेकर उन्होंने कहा, एक सजेशन भी आया है कि एक कमेटी गठित की जाए और उस कमेटी के अंदर लीगल एमनी है, जो लोग एकेडमिक्स के हैं, कानूनी जानकार हैं, उन सबको रखा जाए और दोबारा से इसके बारे में फ्रेम करने के बारे में सोचा जाए। साथ साथ इसको स्टे कर दिया गया है। अब मार्च 2019 की जो है वो तारीख दी गई है।
कमेटी में सर कौन कौन लोग होंगे, इसके बारे में क्या टिप्पणी की गई है?
अभी जो सजेशन आया था उस सजेशन में लीगल एक्सपर्ट्स की बात की गई है, एकेडमिक्स की बात की गई है, सामाजिक जानकार जो है उनकी बात की गई है, पर अभी फॉर्मेशन को लेकर कोई साफ बात नहीं की गई है। लेकिन सजेशन आया तो आगे देखना होगा।
सर, CJI की तरफ से सख्त टिप्पणी की गई है। टिप्पणी इस बात को लिखी की गई कि जो हालात अमेरिका में है, गोरों और कालों के बीच में उनके लिए अलग व्यवस्था है, वो स्थिति यहाँ पर पैदा नहीं हो कि आजादी के 75 साल के बाद भी हम इस स्थिति में।
बिल्कुल जस्टिस बागची की तरफ से ये बात आई थी और बिल्कुल उन्होंने बिल्कुल सही कहा जो हम लोगों ने बोला भी था कि भाई अगर इस तरीके के रूल रेगुलेशन जो कि 3C की हम बात करते हैं, अगर इस तरीके के रूल रेगुलेशन बनाए जाते हैं तो कहीं ना कहीं एक पर्टिकुलर कास्ट को टारगेट किया जाए, जिसको जनरल कास्ट हम लोग कहते हैं। और उनको टारगेट करने का मतलब ये है कि कहीं ना कहीं आप बंटवारे की राजनीति कर रहे हैं। और 77 साल के बाद अगर इस तरीके के रूल रेगुलेशन बनाए जाएंगे हमारे देश में, वो कहीं ना कहीं जो हमारा संविधान कहता है एकजुट रहने की बात, उसको कहीं ना कहीं आप उससे अलग जा रहे हैं।
अगली सुनवाई सर कब होनी है?
19 मार्च के लिए मामला जो है दोबारा से रखा गया।
केंद्र सरकार की तरफ से सर क्या दलीलें रखी गई सर?
आज केंद्र सरकार की तरफ से कुछ ज़्यादा नहीं कहा गया है। उन्होंने कहा है कि हमें समय चाहिए। अब समय जो है 19 मार्च की डेट है, उससे पहले उनको जवाब फाइल करने के लिए भी कहा गया।
तो आप यहाँ पर सुन सकते हैं।
So the new guidelines have been kept in abeyance. The old ones of 2012 are going to be back in the purview, and we will have that implemented again. The language used is vague. This is what the Supreme Court has mentioned, and it has also in fact underlined that there is a need for experts to in fact weigh in and clarify on what really this is all about. Ananya continues to be with us on the broadcast. Ananya, about the setting up of an expert committee, anything that the court said about it?
Well, absolutely. At this particular point in time, the Supreme Court has not said anything, though it would be considering this particular option after notices are received from different stakeholders, as far as more importantly the central government is concerned. And how would the central government be perceiving it as Greha is something that is very, very crucial to note, because at this particular point of time, since these directions are in abeyance, it's a big hit that comes into the central government. But clearly the Supreme Court in 142 direction going in to stay these directions and saying that the 2012 guidelines would continue is something that reflects upon the intent of the Supreme Court, the kind of mind that the Supreme Court had made that, these are guidelines that are completely not good in law. These are guidelines that do not promote equity, because equity and unity of the country is something that remains to be paramount. And that's exactly what Chief Justice of India, Justice Suryakant, had also gone on to say, that, the unity of India should be reflected through its institution, more importantly, schools and colleges, because these are the shaping grounds of students. These are the grounds where students grow up, they learn. And if at all there is no unity here, then how can we expect a casteless society or a future where the whole country is actually united?
Right, absolutely, Ananya. And you do go on to mention about how the special jurisdiction has been used by the Supreme Court, 142, the need to use that particularly today as the court was looking at these counter petitions. Why was that done by the Supreme Court?
It was just the first hearing, notices were not issued, and it is usually not the case that the Supreme Court generally gives on a stay or puts in an older regulation in play. So the Supreme Court had to use its extraordinary jurisdiction to actually pass on these orders, to use 142 and then stay these particular directions, put them in abeyance, and putting the 2012 guidelines back into the play, and very clearly making various and serious observations going on to say that the unity of the country is paramount. We can't make this look like the United States of America, where the blacks and the whites go to a different school. And he also went on to clearly state that the country should not go into a regressive direction, because we are into 75 years of independence, where we should make reality of a casteless society that we have been dreaming of.
Well, absolutely. In fact, let's now hear from the very people who this order directly impacts. That is the students who have been protesting from various universities across the country. Here are some reactions coming in.
सरकार जो कहती है कि बटोगे तो कटोगे, खुद क्यों वो बांटने में लगी पड़ी है? क्या सच में देश में यूजीसी की जरूरत थी? क्या बच्चों को यूजीसी की जरूरत थी जब SC/ST एक्ट ऑलरेडी था? सरकार देश में यूजीसी की रिक्वायरमेंट है, आप दे रहे हो यूजीसी। आज किसी यूनिवर्सिटी के अंदर किसी व्यक्ति के साथ, जनरल कैटेगरी के बच्चे के साथ कोई भेदभाव हो जाता है, कोई अपनी खुंदक निकालने के लिए बोल देता है कि भाई ये तो हमारे साथ इसने ऐसा किया वैसा किया, तो वो जनरल कैटेगरी वाला कहां तक अपने आप को साबित करता रह जाएगा कि मैंने नहीं किया, मैंने ये किया नहीं किया? क्योंकि गाइडलाइन के अंदर तो फेक केसेस पे तो कुछ है ही नहीं लिखा हुआ। और आप एक बात बताइए, क्या यूनिवर्सिटीज के अंदर जनरल कैटेगरी के बच्चों के साथ भेदभाव नहीं होता? क्या उनके साथ गलत तरीके की भाषा का इस्तेमाल नहीं होता? JNU के अंदर दीवारों में ब्राह्मणवाद भारत छोड़ो, लेफ्ट, ये वामपंथियों ने भी जो प्रोटेस्ट किया जिसमें बोला कि हिंदूवादी ब्राह्मणवादी बलात्कारी है, क्या ये जो है ये जाति के अकॉर्डिंग गंदा डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं है? ये कास्ट स्लर नहीं है? स्लर है ना? तो आप कैसे डिसाइड करोगे कि सिर्फ SC/ST और OBC के साथ में ही ये सब होता है? तो आप या तो जनरल रखो, सबके लिए रखो, कि किसी भी व्यक्ति, चाहे वो किसी भी क्षेत्र का हो, किसी भी भाषा बोलने वाला हो, उसके साथ किसी भी तरीके का डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं होगा। तब मानते हैं कि हाँ आपकी जो पॉलिसी है एक रहोगे नेक रहोगे, वो सब मानते। लेकिन ये बहुत गलत है। यूजीसी को रोल बैक करने की जरूरत है, रिफॉर्म्स लाओ, अदरवाइज क्लैरिटी के साथ इसको लेके आओ। और ये भाजपा की सबसे पुरानी आदत है कि वो हमेशा एग्जीक्यूशन में फेल होती है। जितनी भी पॉलिसीज बिल लेके आती है और हमेशा एंड में जाके वो गुड़ गोबर कर देती है। तो इस पे ढंग से जरूरत है, हमें यूजीसी में सरकार का क्या टेक है वो जानने की जरूरत है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने स्टे लगाया है, टेम्परेरी स्टे है, आगे कार्रवाई होगी वो होगा, वो देखेंगे बाद में।
Today, the Honorable Supreme Court heard our writ petition challenging the UGC regulations which have been enacted recently. The Honorable Supreme Court has stayed the UGC regulations and has kept them in abeyance. The Honorable Supreme Court, in exercise of powers under Article 142, has directed that UGC regulations 2012 will be in operation till further orders, and the matter has been posted for hearing on 19th of March.
रंजीत रंजन here with us. मैम, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने यूजीसी की गाइडलाइंस पे रोक लगा दिया है, कहा है they were very vague and they left the students with less remedy less. Your reaction?
देखिए, मैं इसको कहूँगी कि शायद हमने जो स्टैंडिंग कमेटी के रिकमेंडेशन थे, गवर्नमेंट ने उसको यूजीसी में जब अपने पॉइंट्स दिए, लॉ दिया, उसको बहुत बेहतर तरीके से डिफाइन नहीं किया है। उसको बहुत बेहतर तरीके से स्टूडेंट को समझ में आ जाए, वो समझ में नहीं आ रहा है। कुछ पॉइंट्स में हम लोग भी कंफ्यूज हैं कि आखिर स्टूडेंट इस तरह से बाहर क्यों आए हैं। देखिए, डिस्क्रिमिनेशन किसी के साथ भी नहीं होना चाहिए। पहले सब स्टूडेंट हैं, SC हो, ST हो, OBC हो, फॉरवर्ड हो, सब स्टूडेंट हैं। इतना भी इस तरह की चीज़ें नहीं आनी चाहिए कि स्टूडेंट में इतना डिफरेंसेस आ जाए, इतनी नफरत आ जाए कि लोग एक दूसरे को नफरत की नज़र से देखें। तो डिस्क्रिमिनेशन किसी भी स्टूडेंट के साथ नहीं होना चाहिए। जिसने एलिगेशन लगाया उसके साथ भी नहीं, जिस पे लग रहा है अगर वो गलत है तो उस पे भी नहीं। शायद इन चीज़ों को बेहतर तरीके से डिफाइन नहीं किया गया था। अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने अगर स्टे लगाया है तो मुझे लगता है कि गवर्नमेंट को एक बार फिर से स्टैंडिंग कमेटी में भेजना चाहिए, और जो आप अभी लॉ दे रहे हैं, जो पॉइंट्स दे रहे हैं आप, मेन मकसद क्या है, SC ST OBC के साथ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन ना हो, स्टूडेंट के साथ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं हो, लेकिन मिसयूज ऑफ लॉ भी ना हो, जिसके लिए स्टूडेंट बाहर आए हैं। तो वी आर आल्सो अग्री, वी आर आल्सो मदर ऑफ स्टूडेंट ना। तो मुझे लगता है कि गवर्नमेंट को और अच्छे तरीके से स्टूडेंट को विश्वास में लेना चाहिए कि डिस्क्रिमिनेशन और मिसयूज ऑफ लॉ किसी भी स्टूडेंट के साथ नहीं होगा, चाहे वो बैकवर्ड हो चाहे वो फॉरवर्ड।
Thank you so much. That was Ajit Ranjan telling us her views as far as the UGC directive from the Supreme Court is concerned.
जो हमारा लगातार आर्गुमेंट था सर्वोच्च न्यायालय के सामने के 3C, जिसके अंदर जातिगत भेदभाव की बात की गई थी, उसमें जनरल कास्ट को छोड़कर बाकी सभी कास्ट को उसमें इंक्लूड किया गया था। और कहीं ना कहीं ये दर्शाया जा रहा था कि जनरल कास्ट ही सिर्फ जो है वो टारगेट करती है और कास्ट को, उसको लेकर बहुत चिंता व्यक्त की है। और कहीं ना कहीं जो डिवाइड करने की बात, समानता की हमारा संविधान बात करता है, लेकिन ये रूल रेगुलेशन जो है वो कहीं ना कहीं विद्यार्थियों को डिवाइड करने का जो मामला है उसमें सामने आ रहा है। और ये CJI ने बिल्कुल साफ साफ माना कि रूल रेगुलेशन में कमी है और इसको सोचना और देखना पड़ेगा। इसी को लेकर उन्होंने कहा, एक सजेशन भी आया है कि एक कमेटी गठित की जाए और उस कमेटी के अंदर जो लीगल एमिनी है, जो लोग एकेडमिक्स के हैं, कानूनी जानकार हैं, उन सबको रखा जाए और दोबारा से इसके बारे में फ्रेम करने के बारे में सोचा जाए। साथ साथ इसको स्टे कर दिया गया है। अब मार्च 2019 की जो है वो तारीख दी गई है। जस्टिस बागची की तरफ से ये बात आई थी और बिल्कुल उन्होंने बिल्कुल सही कहा जो हम लोगों ने बोला भी था कि भाई अगर इस तरीके के रूल रेगुलेशन, जो कि 3C की हम बात करते हैं, अगर इस तरीके के रूल रेगुलेशन बनाए जाते हैं तो कहीं ना कहीं एक पर्टिकुलर कास्ट को टारगेट किया जाए है, जिसको जनरल कास्ट हम लोग कहते हैं। और उनको टारगेट करने का मतलब ये है कि कहीं ना कहीं आप बंटवारे की राजनीति कर रहे हैं। और 77 साल के बाद अगर इस तरीके के रूल रेगुलेशन बनाए जाएंगे हमारे देश में, वो कहीं ना कहीं जो हमारा संविधान कहता है एकजुट रहने की बात, उसको कहीं ना कहीं आप उससे अलग जा रहे हैं।
Ananya continues to be with us on the broadcast. Ananya, we heard the arguments and also from the petitioners and the advocates there who were taking this case forward before the Supreme Court. 3C becomes a key point of contention, where the argument was that it's only the general category that is being vilified. They are the ones who are only being treated as oppressors, while all others have been deemed as victims. We seem to have lost that link with Ananya. We'll try and reestablish that connection. But this is a big news that will impact India's education system. It has come out of the Supreme Court, as the Supreme Court has kept the fresh guidelines by UGC in abeyance until a redraft version comes in by the union government. We have a reaction coming in from Mr. Pramod Tiwari. Let's take a look.
कि उस सिद्धांत को भूल गई है। सरकार का काम है कहीं अशांति हो तो शांति पैदा करे, पर ये तो वर्ग के नाम पे, जाति के नाम पे, धर्म के नाम पे देश में आग लगाते हैं। और इसलिए लगाते हैं कि लोग वास्तविक मुद्दों से ध्यान हट जाए, बेरोजगारी, महंगाई। ये भी सरकार की यही देन थी। लेकिन मैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट को धन्यवाद देता हूं, हृदय से धन्यवाद देता हूं कि उन्होंने इस सरकार की इस काली करतूत को पहचाना और रोका। पार्टी सरकार के उस
Broadcast, Ananya, the key argument that is also coming to fore now that we have been playing out all these reactions coming in after this big order by the Supreme Court is 3C. They are constantly talking about how the general category has been branded as the oppressor party, while all other communities, factions, whether it is the SC, ST or even the OBCs now, are the ones who are the oppressed here in the case. And that was the main argument why these petitions really were before the Supreme Court.
Well, absolutely, and in fact this was a major argument that was placed before the Supreme Court, not only by Vishnu Shankar Jain but various other petitioners as well, that it is the OBC, the SC, ST who have been included in that. However, the general category people are not given any kind of a redressal mechanism, or at least a forum to actually give their grievances or their responses. And very clearly at this juncture the Supreme Court also feeling that these are kind of a vague directives that have come in from, in fact, the Supreme Court of India. We have to head to a casteless society. We have to head towards a society where caste is no bar. The caste is nothing. but very clearly at this particular point of time, and Griya, you know, I would like to take you back to one very important observation while we talk of caste. The Supreme Court stated that, you know, very clearly at this particular point of time, while we are in almost into 75 years of independence, there are castes within castes as well. There are, you know, different groups between the various castes itself, and that is exactly why we need to head towards a casteless society. You know, we are into 75 years of independence, and by these kind of approaches, the one like the 2026 directive of the UGC is something that puts us into a position of regressiveness, into a position of going back to where we started from, and that's exactly why the Supreme Court also going on to give an example from the United States of America, that do we want a situation like the USA where you know, white kids go to a different school and the black kids go to a different school. That's why the Supreme Court very clearly exercising its the special directives under 142 of the Constitution of India to actually go on and stay these directives while putting the 2012 directives into play until there is a decision that is coming in from the top poster of the country.
Right, Ananya, do stay on with us. We also have Arunima joining us. Also joining us is Ravi Singh, our colleague from News 18 India. In fact, Arunima, coming to you first, a lot of political reactions from across spectrum and party line are coming in now that the Supreme Court has in fact kept these new guidelines by the UGC in abeyance. Before you answer that, Arunima, we have to quickly get in a word from Ravi. Ravi, आप कुछ स्टूडेंट्स के साथ खड़े हैं. सबसे ज़्यादा प्रोटेस्ट स्टूडेंट कम्युनिटी में दिखा था इस 2026 के गाइडलाइंस को लेके. अब जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट की तरफ से एक फेवरेबल वर्डिक्ट आ रहा है, जो वो मांग कर रहे थे, अब क्या कहना है उनका?
यूजीसी हेडक्वार्टर के सामने ये तमाम लोग इस समय प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं, और क्योंकि पहले से ही इन लोगों का प्रदर्शन की योजना थी, पहले से ही की प्लानिंग थी कि यहाँ पर जिस तरीके से देश के अलग अलग हिस्सों में प्रोटेस्ट चल रहा है, उसी को कंटिन्यू आगे बढ़ाना है. और इन लोगों से भी हम बात कर लेते हैं कि किस तरीके से इन लोगों का ये कहना है. एक चीज बताइए कि जिस तरीके से प्रोटेस्ट चल रहा है और सुप्रीम कोर्ट की तरफ से आपको लगता है कि कुछ राहत मिली है तमाम स्टूडेंट?
बिल्कुल, हम बहुत थैंकफुल हैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट का, क्योंकि हम 2 दिन पहले ही अपने प्रोटेस्ट की इसकी बता चुके थे कि 1 तारीख को हम यूजीसी कमीशन के बाहर इकट्ठे होंगे और हम सड़कों पर आएंगे. हम यूनिवर्सिटी का छात्र सड़कों पर आएगा और मांग रखेगा हमारे यूजीसी कमीशन से और बोलेगा कि इसको रोल बैक करो, क्योंकि शिक्षा के मंदिर में भेदभाव नहीं चलेगा. और हमें बहुत राहत मिली है, हम थैंकफुल हैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट.
क्या प्रोटेस्ट आप लोगों का खत्म हो जाएगा?
हाँ जी, अब हमारा प्रोटेस्ट खत्म हो जाएगा, लेकिन हम ये कहते हैं कि अगर ये स्टे बैक ना, सिर्फ स्टे बैक ना रहकर इसको ज्यादा से ज्यादा कड़ी इस पर कार्रवाई की जाए और इसको रोल बैक किया जाए. अगर रोल बैक नहीं होगा तो आज हम जितनी संख्या में, हम हजारों की संख्या में कल को यहाँ आएंगे और फिर अपनी ये मांग रखेंगे, लेकिन हम इसको रोल बैक करवा कर ही रुकेंगे.
आप क्या नाम है? क्या नाम है आपका?
मेरा नाम माधव यादव है.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट की तरफ से जिस तरीके से टिप्पणी आई और इसके बाद एक तारीख मुकर्रर की गई, आपको लगता है कि राहत है या फिर आप लोगों का जो प्रोटेस्ट है, विरोध है, वो जारी रहेगा?
विरोध नहीं जारी रहेगा, स्टे लग चुका है, काफी अच्छा है, पर इसको गो बैक होना पड़ेगा. जो ये चीज है ना, ये यूजीसी गो बैक होगा तभी ये उससे ज्यादा अच्छी चीज होगी. और ये अभी स्टे लगा हुआ है, अभी स्टे में मतलब ये
कम नहीं की परेशानियां होती है जनरल कैटेगरी के लोगों को.
बिल्कुल
जी, इसमें सबसे बड़ी चीज ये है कि स्टे लगाया, बहुत अच्छी बात है, बस इसमें 3 बड़े बदलाव होना बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है. पहला बदलाव कि अगर कोई फॉल्स केस करता हुआ पकड़ा जाता है तो उसके खिलाफ भी कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए. दूसरा बदलाव, अगर मैं जनरल कैटेगरी से आता हूँ, मेरे साथ कोई भेदभाव होता है तो इक्वालिटी तो मुझे जब मिलेगी ना, जब मेरे भेदभाव पे मेरे साथ भी मेरे को भी प्रॉपर राइट मिलेगा. तीसरा बदलाव कि अगर जिस बेंच में SC/ST यूजीसी की सुनवाई हो रही है, उस बेंच में कोई जनरल कैटेगरी का बंदा ही नहीं है, उसमें जनरल कैटेगरी का बंदा भी ऐड होना चाहिए. ये 3 बदलाव होना चाहिए उसमें. तो क्या अभी भी प्रेशर आप लोगों की तरफ से, दबाव यूजीसी पर, सरकार पर जारी रहेगा?
बना रहेगा. इसके बाद भी हम बहुत बड़ा आंदोलन करेंगे और सारे हम रोज उठते हैं, खाते हैं, बैठते हैं, सारी चीजें करते हैं. वहाँ भेदभाव नहीं होता. जिस शिक्षा के मंदिर में मैं पढ़ने के लिए आ रहा हूँ, उस शिक्षा के मंदिर में हमें बांटा जा रहा है. अगर हम ऐसे हिंदू बंटते रहे तो
कॉन्स्टिट्यूशंस में क्या दिक्कत होती है? जनरल कैटेगरी के क्या मुश्किलें हो सकती है?
आज की डेट में गरीब पैदा होना दिक्कत नहीं है, जनरल कैटेगरी में पैदा होना बहुत तगड़ी दिक्कत आ गई है. अगर SC/ST घर में पैदा हुआ तो नौकरी है, और SC/ST को बोल दिया तो हम जेल चले जाते हैं. तो इतनी दिक्कतें आ रही है इस टाइम पे.
आप क्या मानते हैं, क्या प्रॉब्लम क्या होती है यूनिवर्सिटी या कॉलेजेस में? क्या प्रॉब्लम होती है?
देखो, मैं आपको ना एक स्टोरी बताता हूँ. एक जनरल कैटेगरी का बच्चा गरीब
Right,
परिवार में पैदा होता है, लेकिन फिर भी सरकारी फॉर्म भरने के लिए सारी फीस देता है. SC/ST एक्ट वाले फॉर्म
Voices in unison, in fact, welcoming this decision that has come out by the Supreme Court, although they are also demanding a complete rollback of all of these guidelines by the UGC. Arunima and Ananya, also Pallavi now joins us on the broadcast. They continue to be with us. Arunima, we were talking to you about the voices, politically speaking, that have now come about after this decision by the Supreme Court. More on this, please.
Yes, the reactions that have come in, Nishikant Dubey has put out a post on social media. We met him. We tried to ask him whether he's standing by that post, and he said so. So he's essentially saying that all these protesting students must have faith in Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He's the one who brought in reforms for economically weaker sections of the society. He believes in right to equality and that there is no cause of concern. So that's the Bharatiya Janata Party's standpoint. As far as the opposition spectrum is concerned, Ranjit Ranjan spoke to us and she said, I'm speaking to you not just as a member of parliament, but also a mother of a student. My child is a college student as well, and we do not want this kind of animosity in the classroom where your caste identity supersedes your friendship and your equation with your classmates and with your friends in the university, in the college campus. And therefore, what Ranjit Ranjan told CNN News 18 was that this perhaps is an opportunity for lawmakers from both sides of the spectrum, both the Treasury and the opposition, should come together and redevise the rules in a way so that this kind of fissure that we're seeing in society is not allowed to further. The others, from the non-BJP, non-Congress spectrum, for example, Chandrasekhar Ravan, their viewpoint is that, this is quote unquote exposing all those who claim to be speaking for SC, ST, OBC. What Chandrasekhar Ravan said is that this UGC rule is not against anyone. It is being wrongly interpreted as being anti-Savan or anti-upper caste. And now is the time to set it right. Supreme Court has also asked for a review and it has called the rules vague. So perhaps it is to the lawmakers to kind of amend what has gone wrong, if something has gone wrong.
Right, absolutely. And Pallavi, the fact that the Congress had been given this opportunity to go after the government over these very new regulations, is the Congress party now taking this decision by the Supreme Court as a pinch of salt?
Well, see, the official Congress reaction, and they're not wanting to come on camera just yet, but the official Congress reaction, Priya, is very simple. It's a mess which has been created by the government, and the government is answerable, and they are the ones who are playing around with the lives of the students. Look, why is it that the Congress party wants to take a very cautious time? The reason is very simple, that they do not want to lose out on any vote bank. We know Rahul Gandhi's pitch. We are aware of the Congress's pitch as far as the SC, ST or the OBCs are concerned. So they are not going to be giving any statement which they get this feeling that this is a vote bank which could be hurt. But on the other hand,